Chapter 26. After reaching an agreement with the King of the Galaxy, the Saiyans on Planet Vegeta officially became a special armed force in the galaxy. During this month, Saiyan, who had begun to reach a bottleneck, was assigned to participate in peacekeeping operations to help the Galactic Patrol deal with those brutal enemies that they could not handle. Bardock was appointed commander of this force, with full responsibility for liaison and mission arrangements with the Galactic Patrol. Before Lin Chen prepared to go to Earth, he specially called Bardock over to confirm the situation of the peacekeeping force. Your Majesty, we have carried out 3 missions this month, all of which were completed successfully. And the people who participated in the missions have also, as Your Majesty said, broken through their limits because of the successful combat. Bardock reported. Are there any complaints down there? Lin Chen asked. In the past, Saiyans were conquerors, invaders, and killers. Now they have transformed themselves into guardians of peace, and some people will definitely not be used to this change. But Bardock's answer surprised Lin Chen. Your Majesty, there are not many complaints. For those who participate in the mission, as long as there is a battle, they don't care what the purpose of this battle is. Lin Chen thought about it and understood. In fact, although the outside world has always believed that Saiyans are belligerent and naturally irritable, not all Saiyans are born evil. During the last Tull's rebellion, those who were evil by nature and unwilling to live in peace had already died at Lin Chen's hands together with Tull's, so most of those left now are people with neutral or kind personalities. Next time I have the chance to go to the underworld, maybe I should thank Tull's. Lin Chen smiled slightly, and said to Bardock, okay, you will take care of this area from now on, but remember to pay attention to safety every time you act. The number of Saiyan is running low, and we can't sacrifice lives as easily as we did in the past. Bardock nodded, don't worry, Your Majesty. We will pay attention to this. Lin Chen nodded and waved for Bardock to leave. Not long after Bardock left, Hanasia came over. Your Majesty, are you going to Earth? That's right. Hannah, you should practice more while I'm away. You're the only one who ate the fruit of the spirit tree, and your combat power hasn't even exceeded 500,000 yet. Hanasia blushed, Your Majesty, I know. After visiting Earth once, Hanasia was attracted by the culture there. When she returned to Vegeta, she secretly brought a computer full of various TV series. While others were practicing, she was busy watching movies, thus delaying her practice. After being scolded by Lin Chen, Hannah, perhaps unable to put down her face, said, Your Majesty, you are going to Earth this time, not for that little girl Ties. What nonsense are you talking about? Your Majesty, don't deny it. If you think Ties is okay, then take her in to warm your bed. And her sister seems to be very interested in you. I think she will be a beauty when she grows up. Your Majesty, didn't you say that the hybrids of Saiyan and Earthlings are natural warriors? If so, as the King of Saiyan, shouldn't you set an example and give birth to a hybrid child for us first? Lin Chen was speechless. Okay, I'll give it a try if I have a chance, but I have to get their consent. Hanasia laughed sweetly, how could I disagree? Although we are not from the same planet, we are both women. I can tell at a glance what those two sisters are thinking. After dealing with the harem and government affairs, it was time for Lin Chen to prepare to leave, but at this time, someone else came to his door. Broly wants to see me. Lin Chen looked at Paragus in front of him with some surprise. Yes, Your Majesty. Broly seems to be a little troubled lately. He doesn't seem to want to stay in Planet Vegeta anymore. Paragus explained. Broly hasn't had a lot of quiet time on Planet Vegeta lately. I heard that there are a few Saiyan kids who would challenge Broly every now and then. Although these people's abilities are nothing compared to Broly's, they still treat Broly as their best sparring partner. Every time he was beaten half to death by Broly, he would enter the treatment machine to rest for a few days, and then come back to challenge him again full of energy. Because this would help those kids improve their strength, Bardock, King Vegeta, and others did not stop them. But Broly was a little annoyed. The life now is completely different from that in Namek. Broly, who is indifferent by nature, doesn't like this kind of life at all and has complained to his father several times. In this life, Paragus was not exiled, so his personality did not become extreme. He only had pure fatherly love for Broly without any intention of taking advantage of him. Now that he saw his son was in trouble, he couldn't help but find Lin Chen for him. Being a Saiyan, but not used to life on Planet Vegeta? Hearing this, Lin Chen said, okay, let's go over and take a look. At this moment, on the outskirts of the capital, on a lush green hill, a simple little house stands alone on the hillside. The appearance of this small house is very different from Saiyan architecture, but it is somewhat similar to Namek architecture. And it is Broly's residence. Because he didn't like those noisy and competitive Saiyans, Broly left the capital shortly after returning to Planet Vegeta and lived here alone. He rarely returned to the capital except when Lin Chen had something to do. But today, outside Broly's house, there were two young Saiyans standing. Hey! Broly! Come out quickly! Let's fight again! I must let you know that the one who can become the second most powerful Saiyan after Majesty Lynx is me, Vegeta. Not you. Vegeta, let's go back. You've already lost to Broly 4 times. Raditz, if you want to leave, just leave. I must compete with Broly. Broly, don't play dumb, I know you are in there. If you don't come out, I'm going to destroy this place. After saying that, Vegeta, who was still just a child, began to accumulate energy in his palms and was actually going to take action. At this moment, the hut that had been silent before was finally opened and Broly walked out. Vegeta, I don't want to compete with you. Whether you become the second strongest or the strongest Saiyan has nothing to do with me. Please don't disturb my life. How can that be? Among the younger generation, you are the only one I can't beat. If I can't even surpass you, how can I surpass His Majesty Lynx? Broly, come and compete with me. Chapter 27. Call out. At this moment, a sound of breaking through the air was heard. Who? Vegeta and Raditz's faces changed and they turned to look. When a familiar figure came into their sight, the two men immediately knelt down. Vegeta. Raditz. Your Majesty. Get up. Lin Chen replied indifferently, his eyes fell on Vegeta and narrowed slightly. Who would have thought that the child that Paragus was talking about that disturbed Broly would be Vegeta, the second protagonist in this original novel? No wonder, among the younger generation, only Vegeta has the ability to fight Broly. Ever since Lin Chen passed on the training method in the original book to Saiyan, the strength of many people has made great progress. As a genius warrior second only to Son Goku in the original work, Vegeta's combat effectiveness has naturally improved a lot due to the new training method. Today, Vegeta's combat power has exceeded 20,000, making him the youngest Saiyan besides Broly who has the hope of breaking through 100,000 combat power. However, even so, compared with perverts like Lin Chen and Broly, Vegeta is still far inferior. Vegeta, I have something to do with Broly, you and Raditz should go first. Your Majesty. Can I ask you for a favor? Vegeta suddenly took a step forward and looked at Lin Chen with great trepidation. What's wrong? Your Majesty Lynx, I heard that Broly once lived with Your Majesty for 5 years and became Your Majesty's disciple. So, I also want to become Your Majesty's disciple. Vegeta said. Oh. Lin Chen's eyebrows twitched and his face showed a little surprise. Who would have thought that the proud Vegeta would actually want to become his apprentice? Will the arrogant Vegeta ever be convinced by others? Lin Chen felt secretly happy that he could conquer the eternally arrogant man in the original novel. He smiled, then said, Vegeta, you have great potential. In time, you will become a powerful warrior. But I'm sorry Vegeta, I can't teach you anything. Ah! Vegeta immediately showed a look of disappointment on his face. But Lin Chen's next words cheered him up again, Vegeta, Broly is not actually my apprentice. He and I can become so powerful because of our talents. This is innate. You can't learn it even if you want to. Talent. Vegeta was a little bit unbelievable because in the past, his father King Vegeta had always taught him that he was the king among the Saiyans, a natural warrior, with royal blood in his veins, and the most gifted warrior. But unexpectedly, his talent, compared with Broly, is not even worth mentioning. Seeing the shock on Vegeta's face, Lin Chen smiled and continued, but you don't have to be discouraged. No matter how strong your talent is, it only determines a person's starting point and the speed of his growth. If you can practice diligently, you may be able to catch up with Broly in time. Really? I can really catch up with Broly? What about you? Your Majesty Lynx, can I catch up with you? Maybe. Lin Chen smiled without saying anything. After encouraging the future Tsundere Tower, Lin Chen sent the two children away. He then turned to look at Broly. After not seeing each other for more than a month, Broly's face was indeed a little tired. After Lin Chen saw it, he didn't think much about it and said, "Broly, will you come to Earth with me?" Earth? Yes. Clearly, life in Saiyan is not for Broly. Ever since being placed in Namek by Lin Chen for 5 years, Broly's personality has been completely incompatible with traditional Saiyan. He is too calm and introverted. Although he is still young, he is like an old man and can remain calm at all times. But it's better this way, at least Lin Chen doesn't have to worry about Broly suddenly going berserk one day. But now that Broly doesn't want to live on Planet Vegeta, given his personality, it would be better for him to go to Earth. It just so happened that Lin Chen knew there was someone there who would definitely get along well with Broly. Not long after, Lin Chen and Broly suddenly appeared in the Temple of the Gods on Earth. Looking at the silent hall, Broly felt curious. "God!" Lin Chen shouted. After a while, the god and Mr. Popo came over. "Mr. Lin Chen, why are you here again?" When the god saw Lin Chen, he began to sweat coldly. The pressure from the other party was too great. Before Lin Chen could explain, Broly, who saw the god, shouted in surprise, "Namek people!" Hearing this, the god was stunned. "Little guy, do you know me?" "Yeah, aren't you a Namek? Why are you on Earth?" "Namek? I'm a Namek." Finally knowing his origins, the god felt happier than ever before. So much so that he immediately agreed to Lin Chen's request for Broly to stay in the Temple of the Gods. With the care of the gods, Lin Chen felt relieved about Broly. The god is originally a Namek, so Broly will be no stranger to him. Moreover, in terms of personality, the indifferent personalities of the god and Mr. Popo are just what Broly likes. I believe he will have a great time here. After resolving his worries, Lin Chen no longer had any concerns. He immediately went to Zidu and continued his cultivation. Soon after, time passed, and in the blink of an eye, more than 9 months had passed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the selection. Within 1 year, more than 50 Saiyans have a combat power of more than 100,000. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing 3 choices at the same time. All rewards will be distributed: 5 tubes of S-Cell reagent, a spirit time house, and a primary martial arts genius talent. In the gravity room with 50 times gravity still on, Lin Chen was lying on the ground and sleeping. However, when the system upgrade sounded, he immediately got up from the ground and regained consciousness. "System, has my mission been completed?" Ding! The test has been completed, and the reward has been sent to the system space. Please check it. Lin Chen's mind moved, and then he saw that there were indeed 2 more things in his system space. One was a group of 5 tube S cells. This type of cell can give Saiyan the ability to become a Super Saiyan. Normally, this type of cell can only grow slowly in the body of a Saiyan living in a peaceful environment. The other is a capsule containing a spiritual time chamber. In addition, Lin Chen now has an entry-level martial arts genius talent in his skill column. In the future, as long as others use their unique skills in front of him, Lin Chen has a 30% chance of learning them immediately. Getting 3 rewards at once, this 1-year mission was truly worth it. Chapter 28. Lin Chen flipped his right hand and a test tube fell into his hand. In the test tube, a light golden liquid can be seen. These liquids are the solvents filled with S cells. "System, how do I use this thing?" "Just drink it and it will increase your S cells." Hearing this answer, Lin Chen couldn't help but sigh. It's true that system things are convenient. Under normal circumstances, it is extremely difficult for a Saiyan to increase his S cells, otherwise it would not take 1,000 years for a Super Saiyan to be born. However, Lin Chen himself cannot use this S cell. His combat power has exceeded 1 million. According to the system's previous prompts, Lin Chen already has enough cells in his body to become a Super Saiyan. In this case, this S cell will have to be used by others. Thinking of this, Lin Chen picked up the bottle and used instant transmission to arrive at Vegeta Star, Saiyan's palace. Because I don't come back often, this palace is now a bit deserted. However, there was a noisy conversation in Hanasia's room. When Lin Chen pushed the door open, he saw Hanasia watching a soap opera. Seeing Lin Chen coming, Hanasia screamed in surprise, and hurriedly blocked the computer. "Your Majesty, why are you back?" "Hana, you're being lazy again." "I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but don't I already have 500,000 combat power?" "Well, since you don't like practicing, I'll just give you something good." As Lin Chen spoke, he took out 5 S-cell test tubes from his pocket and handed them to Hannah. Hannah looked at it strangely and asked, "Your Majesty, what is this?" "Drink them all. I'll tell you later," Lin Chen said. Hearing this, Hanasia drank all 5 tubes of S-cells without hesitation. After drinking all 5 tubes of solvent, Hanasia looked nauseous, as if the S-cells were not tasty. But other than that, there was no other change in her. "Your Majesty, can you tell me now what that was?" Looking at Hanasia, who didn't react at all, Lin Chen felt puzzled. The things given by the system shouldn't be useless. "Hannah, don't you feel any changes in your body?" "No. Your Majesty, did you give me poison?" Lin Chen thought for a moment and said, "Hannah, why don't you try to get angry?" "Angry? Sorry, Your Majesty, I can't be angry with you," Hanasia said with a wry smile. But at this moment, a sound of breaking air suddenly came from the room, followed by the sound of something exploding. Hanasia's face froze. The thing that just exploded was the computer that Hanasia had been inseparable from for a while. It had at least 300 episodes of TV series that she hadn't had time to watch yet. Unforgivable. Even His Majesty cannot forgive me. Hanasia's eyes felt hot, and the next moment, her hair suddenly moved without wind, and her originally black hair suddenly began to turn golden. When Hanasia's hair turned completely golden, an earth-shaking aura suddenly burst out from her body. At that time, all the detectors that were using the combat power detection function on the entire Vegeta planet suddenly exploded on their own. And those detectors that did not have their combat detection function turned on also issued high-energy perception alarms. Ah! With a scream, part of the outer wall of the Saiyan Palace was blown away, and Hanasia suddenly soared into the sky from the broken outer wall. Violent aura continued to surge out of her body, and the powerful energy actually caused the entire planet Vegeta to begin to vibrate. At this moment, all the Saiyans on the planet could feel the heavy and oppressive atmosphere in the air. They stopped what they were doing and looked towards the direction of the palace. Then, everyone saw Hanasia, a girl with blonde hair, floating in the air. Who is that? It seems to be Princess Hanasia? Why did her hair turn golden? Golden hair? Isn't our Saiyan hair all black? How come the princess hair is golden? Everyone was confused by Hanasia's change. But there are still some people who think of an ancient legend. Your Majesty! You're back? Princess Hannah, what's going on? King Vegeta rushed to the scene after hearing the news. He was surprised at first that Lin Chen had returned, and then he was surprised at what he saw. Blonde Saiyan! Your Majesty, could it be that Princess Hanasia? She became a Super Saiyan. Lin Chen said. King Vegeta's breathing suddenly stopped. The legendary Super Saiyan? Isn't that the most powerful Saiyan in history, who only appears once every 1,000 years? Their princess turned into the legendary Super Saiyan? How is this possible? Isn't Princess Hannah's fighting power lower than his? How come she became a Super Saiyan first? Compared to the surprise of others, Lin Chen was a little confused. How come Hanasia's combat power is so low after becoming a Super Saiyan? The best large combat power detector on Planet Vegeta has a maximum detection range of only 1 million. Therefore, Lin Chen used the functions of his own system to detect Hanasia's strength after her transformation. According to the system's observation, Hanasia's combat power at the moment was only 11 million. Her combat power was only increased by less than 20 times. When Lin Chen transformed into a mimic Super Saiyan before, he found that the increase in his combat power seemed to be somewhat different from that in the original work. The same was true when Hanasia transformed into a Super Saiyan this time. There was indeed something wrong here. Thinking of this, Lin Chen asked in his heart, "System, I need a reasonable explanation." Ding! Host, there is no need to doubt it. The combat power of Super Saiyan in this world is only increased by 20 times in the first level form. The combat power increase will increase in higher level forms. However, Super Saiyan has a limit combat power in the first form. If the limit combat power is exceeded, the transformation will only increase a small amount of strength. What? There is such a thing? What about my legendary Super Saiyan bloodline? Ding! The host's legendary Super Saiyan bloodline is the same as the normal bloodline, but once transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan form, the combat power will increase by 50 times, and there is no limit to combat power. So that's how it is. Lin Chen began to understand that the transformation effect of the Super Saiyan in this world was different from the transformation effect of the Super Saiyan he originally knew, or in other words, it was more logically reasonable. Fortunately, his legendary Super Saiyan form is still domineering and invincible, with a setting without limits that can completely crush ordinary Super Saiyans. Chapter 29. Wow wow wow! Your Majesty, what is that you gave me? What's wrong with me? At this time, Han-Asia had come back to her senses and felt the surging power in her body. She couldn't help but feel curious and a little flustered. Call out! Lin Chen took a step forward and flashed into the sky. Hannah, you are already a Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan? What's that? In this era, even Saiyan himself hardly remembers the legend of Super Saiyan, and only a handful of people know about it. Lin Chen took a deep breath and explained to everyone including Han-Asia in a voice that could be heard by the entire capital, Super Saiyan is a super warrior that appears only once every 1,000 years. But in fact, it is just a special transformation form of Saiyan, just like Great Ape. Transforming into a Super Saiyan can increase your combat power dozens of times. By the way, Hannah, your combat power is now 1.1 million. 1.1 million? Me? Han-Asia looked at herself in disbelief, and then she turned her gaze to a barren mountain in the distance of the royal capital. A Qigong bullet that didn't seem to require much effort in Han-Asia's opinion was fired towards the barren mountain. A moment later, a mushroom cloud with great visual impact rose from the ground in the distance. The shock wave from the explosion made it almost impossible for everyone in the royal capital to stand. When the shock wave dissipated, the barren mountain had disappeared. Gasps could be heard throughout the capital. Okay Hannah, this is Saiyan's hometown, don't destroy it. If you want to know your own power, I'll accompany you. Your Majesty, you. Hearing this, Hannah immediately thought of something and looked towards Lin Chen. Then, she saw that Lin Chen's pupils suddenly turned blue and his hair stood up. An aura more terrifying than Han-Asia's, like a storm, blew in all directions with Lin Chen as the center. The Saiyans, who had been shocked by Han-Asia's aura before, finally couldn't bear it anymore when faced with the aura that Lin Chen burst out. Many people fell to their knees, surrendering to this terrifying force. Boom! Suddenly, a flash of lightning flashed across the sky. After the lightning, Lin Chen's hair also turned completely golden. Super Saiyan? Your Majesty, you can also become a Super Saiyan. Of course, otherwise how can I take charge of the family? Lin Chen smiled faintly. After his combat power broke through 1 million through hard training, Lin Chen also broke through the limitations of his original Super Saiyan mimicry and gained the ability to transform into a Super Saiyan. However, what he transformed into at this moment was just an ordinary Super Saiyan, not the legendary Super Saiyan form unique to Lin Chen's super bloodline. Like Han-Asia, the combat power of this form is also increased by 20 times. Lin Chen used to think that this multiple might be because the real Super Saiyan form in his bloodline is the legendary Super Saiyan, not this ordinary Super Saiyan form. Now that he had seen Hannah, he finally understood that the combat power of the Super Saiyan in this world was increased by 20 times, and there was a limit to it. However, Lin Chen now seems to be far from reaching this limit. His combat power is therefore as high as 20 million, almost twice that of Han-Axia. Hannah, go practice in the sky. I haven't fought anyone since I became a Super Saiyan. Okay. Your Majesty, I want to fight you for 300 rounds. As soon as the voice fell, Han-Asia flew into the sky like a rocket, and Lin Chen followed behind. The two of them were like rockets, flying all the way up to the stratosphere of Vegeta planet before they stopped. There was no starting gun, but both of them moved at the same time. Boom! It was just a fight with fists and feet, and loud sounds like thunder kept ringing in the sky. Two golden energies roared and collided continuously, and even the air began to vibrate. The Saiyans on the ground were all stunned by the fierce battle in the sky that was beyond their imagination. Is this the legendary power of Super Saiyan? Father! King Vegeta, who was standing there in a daze, suddenly heard his son's voice beside him. He turned his head and saw his son Vegeta standing beside him with a lost look on his face. Vegeta! Father, is it impossible for me to reach the level of His Majesty in this lifetime? Vegeta's young face showed despair. King Vegeta took a deep breath. He didn't know what to say at the moment, so he could only hold his shoulders. Originally, King Vegeta was very optimistic about his son, thinking that in time, even if Vegeta could not compare to Lin Chen, he would definitely surpass himself and become the second only to Lynx among the Saiyans. But now he realized that his idea was too wishful thinking. It turns out that Lynx and the others have already reached a level that is out of reach for others. Bang bang bang! In the sky, two lightning bolts continued to collide. After each collision, amazing sparks would flash, and at the same time, bursts of sharp wind blades would be brought up. If these wind blades were on the ground, they could probably instantly kill those Saiyans whose combat power was less than 100,000. The battle between Super Saiyans was so terrifying that even if Lin Chen and Han Asia had deliberately held back, they could still destroy the world with a single move. The two fought for nearly half an hour, until Han Axia gradually became out of breath, and Lin Chen ended the fight. Let's stop here for this time. Lin Chen returned to normal, twisted his neck, and immediately a crackling sound was heard. Seeing his relaxed expression, Han Asia was shocked. She originally thought that she would be invincible after becoming a Super Saiyan. But he didn't know that Lin Chen could also become a Super Saiyan, and his strength seemed to be far superior to his own. Although it was just a fist fight, Han Asia could also feel that Lin Chen had probably only used less than half of his strength. As expected of his majesty, isn't he? Even if I become a Super Saiyan, I still can't beat him. Thinking of this, Han Asia returned to normal and floated to Lin Chen's side. When the two returned to the ground, they saw a group of Saiyans, all kneeling on the ground. Seeing their fearful faces, Lin Chen had an idea in his mind. He suddenly said loudly, "Everyone, you just saw it. That is the power of Super Saiyan. But do you know? Han Asia was able to become a Super Saiyan because of me. I made her a Super Saiyan." What? Hearing Lin Chen's words, many people were shocked, and then they were fascinated. Since Lin Chen can turn Han Asia into a Super Saiyan, doesn't that mean he can also turn others into Super Saiyans? Seeing their expressions, Lin Chen smiled slightly, and then painted a pie for all the Saiyans. In fact, in my opinion, becoming a Super Saiyan is not a difficult thing. As long as you have enough awareness, each of you may have the opportunity to become a legendary figure in the future. It all depends on your own performance. We can become Super Saiyan too. Sure enough, after hearing Lin Chen's words, the expressions on many people's faces changed. Not only Han Asia, but even they have a chance? Lin Chen looked at the shocked expressions of these people and smiled without saying anything. As long as the Saiyan obeys him and works for him diligently, what would be so difficult about giving all Saiyan the ability to transform into Super Saiyan? After all, there is a system on my body. Chapter 30. Time flies, and another year has passed. Sato. Lin Chen walked out of the 100 times gravity room with a depressed look on his face. He found that he seemed to have encountered a bottleneck in his cultivation once again. In the past 3 months, although Lin Chen's combat power has been slowly increasing, strangely, he has not been able to completely transform into the legendary Super Saiyan. Lin Chen didn't know why, but he could only transform into a normal Super Saiyan form no matter what. But he just can't transform into the legendary Super Saiyan form that is exclusive to the legendary Saiyan bloodline. Lin Chen checked his attribute panel. Host, Lin Chen Combat Power, 1.28 million Bloodline, Legend of Super Saiyan Bloodline Skills, Instant Transmission, Control of Chi, and Elementary Martial Arts Genius Talent. Seeing his own fighting ability, Lin Chen thought of another strange thing. That is, after breaking through 1 million combat power, his combat power growth rate slowed down. Logically speaking, with Lin Chen's super bloodline, shouldn't his combat power increase like a rocket? How come after all my hard work, my combat power has only increased by over 200,000? How embarrassing is this? If you think about it carefully, after the same year of training, in the Cell chapter of the original work, Son Gohan's combat power increased from hundreds of thousands to several million in an instant. Look at their speed, and then look at yourself. Lin Chen always felt that there seemed to be something wrong here. It seems that in this world, once the combat power exceeds 1 million, it becomes difficult to improve it. This can also be seen from Broly. Broly also possesses super bloodline, so his combat power can increase every day even without practicing, and at a faster rate than Lin Chen. But Lin Chen remembered that when he went to visit the god 3 months ago, he found that Broly's combat power had only increased to more than 800,000, which was far from as exaggerated as in the original book. Lin Chen was puzzled. At this moment, the roof of the 100-fold gravity room behind him suddenly collapsed. The loud noise alarmed Dr. Brief and his family. Looking at the collapsed gravity room, the whole family was stunned. Taisai came over and asked with concern, Lin Chen, what's wrong with you? Me? I'm okay. Lin Chen came back to his senses at this time, looked back at the gravity room, and said embarrassedly, I'm sorry, doctor, it seems that the 100 times gravity room is not enough. What? Dr. Brief's cigarette fell out of his mouth. Have you gotten used to 100 times the gravity? Actually, I got used to it 3 months ago. Doctor, could you please find a way to make a gravity chamber with a higher multiple? How about one with a maximum gravity of 500 times? Lin Chen said. 500 times? Lin Chen, 500 times the gravity, your 200 jin weight will become 50 tons. Can you handle it? No problem, I can get used to it slowly. But with 500 times the gravity, I'm afraid the materials on Earth can no longer bear such a high density. Lin Chen, I can start developing the gravity chamber, but you'd better find me some new high-density metal, otherwise I'm afraid it won't work. Okay, I'll have the people from Star Vegeta prepare it. After agreeing to Dr. Brief, Lin Chen also made a decision. Now that the gravity chamber could not be used for the time being, he should perhaps consider other ways of practicing. Ding! The host's desire to improve his strength is detected, triggering the strongest choice. Choice 1, ask King Kai and learn any King Kai move. Reward, move Evil Spirit Bomb. Choice 2, ask Master Roshi and learn any of Master Roshi's moves. Reward, move Instant Kamehameha. Choice 3, ask the gods and learn any immortal moves. Reward, moves, Gigantic. When Lin Chen saw the strongest choice triggered this time, he was stunned at first. Because with the elementary martial arts genius talent he currently possessed, the option of rewarding some moves seemed a bit useless to him. But Lin Chen quickly realized that the rewards this time might be some tricks that he might not be able to learn through his own talents in the future or in the short term. He could best understand the reward for option 2, which should be when Son Goku learns instant transmission and fuses it with Kamehameha's own moves. The reward for option 3 seems to be the innate instinct of the Namek people, not an ordinary trick. Just like the Namek people's cell regeneration ability, Lin Chen should not be able to learn it through normal means. As for the first option, Lin Chen had never seen it before. System, what does Evil Spirit Bomb mean? Ding! Host, the orthodox Spirit Bomb will only absorb a little bit of life energy, while the Evil Spirit Bomb will absorb all of the energy without regard for the safety of the person providing the energy. Therefore, the Evil Spirit Bomb is more powerful, but each time it is used, it takes more time to absorb, and after use, it will also create a land of death. So that's how it is. Lin Chen now understood a little. If the orthodox Spirit Bomb is to borrow power from other people, then the so-called Evil Spirit Bomb is to directly snatch the vitality of other people for one's own use, and will not care about other people's life or death at all. In this way, with the same number of people providing vitality, the power of the Evil Spirit Bomb will probably be several times that of the ordinary Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb is a trick that Goku has used to turn the tables countless times in the original work, so its power is naturally unquestionable. This Evil Spirit Bomb is actually even more powerful than the Spirit Bomb. If you learn it, wouldn't it be a powerful weapon to turn the tables? Lin Chen was suddenly moved. But, after thinking about it carefully, Lin Chen decided to choose option 2. Although the Evil Spirit Bomb is powerful, it still takes a long time to charge like a normal Spirit Bomb. And once used, it will drain the life force of those around it. If Lin Chen used this on Vegeta Star, all his men would have died before he could defeat the enemy. He is not going to be a big villain, so it would be better for him to learn Master Roshi's moves. As for the reward for the third option, although transforming into a giant can improve combat effectiveness, the disadvantage is also obvious. It is easy for people to get into its mouth, so Lin Chen directly passed it. Forget it, system, choose 2. Ding! The host has started the selection, please complete the task as soon as possible. After making the choice, Lin Chen said to Taisai, Taisai, I am going on a long journey to meet a martial arts master. Master of martial arts? Taisai asked curiously. Well, his name is Master Roshi, also known as Master Wu Tian. Teacher Wu Tian? I know him. Lin Chen, can you take me with you? I also want to practice martial arts with Teacher Wu Tian. Chapter 31. Hearing that Taisai also wanted to practice, Lin Chen was stunned for a moment, then raised his hand, pulled Taisai to his side, and kissed her. Silly girl, what kind of martial arts do you want to practice? During the more than 1 year of cultivation on Earth, Lin Chen and Taisai's relationship has made great progress, and the two have already established a relationship. But the two of them did not get married, and Tais did not express any demand in this regard. It's not impossible for you to practice, but if you really want to practice, why didn't you come to me first? Lin Chen asked. Taisai smiled and said, you are not even from Earth, what can you teach me? Teacher Wu Tian is famous both at home and abroad, so it is appropriate to find him. Lin Chen thought for a while and nodded, that's right. The two had just made a decision when Bulma suddenly said, Brother Lin Chen, I want to learn martial arts, too. Bulma. Lin Chen and the others exclaimed. Tais put her hands on her hips and said, Bulma, what are you doing? How did I mess up? Sister, I just want to practice martial arts. Bulma explained. But in fact, she wanted to stay with Lin Chen for a few more days. Although she is still a little girl, Bulma has already begun to fall in love. In the original novel, Bulma is a little nymphomaniac from the moment she appears on the screen. Although she is younger now than when she appeared in the original novel, Bulma has already been attracted to Lin Chen. It's just that her sister Taisai was with Lin Chen first, so the little girl had to suppress her emotions. Lin Chen didn't think of this, he just thought it would be a good idea to let Bulma practice. Although the original book doesn't say that Bulma has any talent in martial arts. But if Bulma can practice a bit, she will be able to protect herself when she and little Gaku go on adventures together in the future. And with Lin Chen's strength, he will definitely not stay with Master Roshi for too long. It would be fine if Tais gave up early, but if she insisted, the two sisters would not be bored with Bulma around. So, Lin Chen persuaded Tais to agree to take Bulma with him. After saying goodbye to the briefs, Lin Chen took the two sisters and flew towards Master Roshi's island. Because he didn't know the exact location of Master Roshi's house, Lin Chen couldn't use instant transmission to go there directly. Fortunately, he remembered that Master Roshi's house should be on the sea, so he took the two sisters and flew directly there. And this time, Lin Chen was also carrying a new combat power detector made by Bulma. This thing was improved by Bulma based on the design concept of Saiyans portable combat power detector. Although it is a little bigger than the original one, it has no detection limit. In other words, this type of detector will not explode because the combat power of the measured object exceeds the upper limit. In order to calibrate the accuracy of this detector, Lin Chen specially made several test products for Bulma. Master Roshi understands the perception of Qi. When not in combat, he is just an ordinary old man. If Lin Chen wants to find Master Roshi based on Qi, it will be very difficult. But with Bulma's new detector, Lin Chen quickly found Master Roshi's location. Bulma, you have a really useful detector. Really? Bulma blushed a little when Lin Chen praised her. Brother Lin Chen, there are still 100 capsules left in the capsules I gave you. You can use them first. My dad also has the design. If you need more in the future, I can ask my dad to make them for you. At this time, on a small island in the vast ocean, Master Roshi was sitting in front of the TV with a roll of paper. He was watching the sexy yoga instructor teaching on TV while using the roll of paper to stop his nosebleed. Next to it, a turtle was lying under the window, basking in the sun leisurely. At this moment, Master Roshi suddenly stood up from in front of the TV and ran out of the room in a hurry. Teacher Wu Tian, what's wrong with you? The turtles all chased out curiously. There is a powerful and terrifying aura approaching us. Teacher Wu Tian broke out in sweat. The aura he felt was hundreds of times more powerful than the nightmare-like Piccolo Daimao he had seen before. Who is it? How could he have such terrifying strength? Here it comes. As Master Roshi said this, his muscles immediately swelled up. The approach of an unidentified powerful being made him instinctively react defensively, just like an animal sensing danger. At this moment, 3 figures fell from the sky and stepped on the beach. Wow! Is this where Mr. Wu Tian lives? What a remote island! No wonder no one knows where Master Wu Tian is. Master Roshi, whose muscles were puffed up, immediately seemed to deflate, and his originally serious face was replaced with a pig-like look. Hello beauties! Why are you here? Master Roshi's eyes fell on the Tais sisters, and then his focus fell on Tais, who was dressed coolly and had a curvy figure. But the next moment, Master Roshi suddenly noticed Lin Chen walking towards them from behind the Tais sisters. Beads of sweat immediately appeared on his face. It turned out that the terrifying aura that I just felt came from this man. Lin Chen looked at the combat power detector, which showed that Master Roshi had only 20 combat power, and thought to himself that Master Roshi was indeed hiding his aura at ordinary times. If it weren't for Bulma's detector, it would have been difficult for him to detect the presence of Master Roshi, who only had a combat power of 20, in this vast ocean. "Hello, Teacher Wu Tian." Lin Chen smiled kindly. "What do you want from me?" Master Roshi asked nervously. Lin Chen said, "Teacher Wu Tian, my name is Lin Chen, this is my girlfriend Taisai, and this is Taisai's sister Bulma. We are from Zidu, and we want to learn from you. Become my disciple." Master Roshi looked stunned. "Young man, you are much stronger than me. Do you still need me to be your disciple?" Lin Chen replied, "Of course. Teacher Wu Tian is known as the god of martial arts and knows many martial arts. In comparison, I only know some brute force and cannot compare with the teacher at all. In addition, I am not the only one who wants to become his disciple. Taisai and Bulma also want to become his disciples and receive instruction from him." Ahem. Master Roshi coughed, feeling a little elated. He didn't expect that he was so famous that even a guy with such terrifying strength wanted to become his disciple. "If I meet Hermit Crane in the future, I will be able to brag about it. It's not impossible to become my disciple, but I, Wu Tian, have certain conditions for accepting disciples." "You?" Master Roshi was about to propose the conditions for becoming his disciple when suddenly a white light flashed before his eyes, and Lin Chen raised his hand and released a ki blast towards the sea in the distance. Boom! An astonishing mushroom cloud suddenly rose above the sea. Lin Chen turned around and said to Master Roshi with an innocent look, "Teacher Wu Tian, what did you want to say just now?" Teacher, why are you kneeling on the ground?" Master Roshi sniffed, "Welcome to join the Kame Senryu." Chapter 32. In the vast ocean, on an uninhabited desert island. Lin Chen stood under the scorching sun, holding high in both hands a huge rock that weighed at least dozens of tons. Suddenly, he threw the boulder in his hand high into the air, and at the same time, he put his palms together, and a deep blue light emerged from his palms. "Turtle, style." Just before Lin Chen uttered the last word, his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already high in the sky, almost parallel to the flying rock. Achievement. As Lin Chen shouted the last word, a beam of ki blast shining with deep blue light blasted out at the same time, directly engulfing the boulder. The ki blast that cut through the sky was also reflected in the eyes of Master Roshi and the other two below. Master Roshi's nose started running again as he looked at the Qigong that was several times stronger than when he used his full strength. Tais and Bulma, who were carrying 2 turtle shells, cheered. "Brother Lin Chen is so awesome." Above the sky, Lin Chen looked at the result of his performance and felt very satisfied. As expected, it is a unique skill rewarded by the system. This instant Kamehameha not only has the effect of Master Roshi Kamehameha that can deliver a blow far beyond the limit of combat power, but also its accompanying instant transmission is much more flexible than the Jebit version of instant transmission that Lin Chen currently possesses. Jebit's instant transmission is only used to serve Supreme Kai in moving around the universe, so the speed of its use is not very fast. It would be fine if there is a huge difference in strength, but if you are facing an enemy of similar strength, this trick cannot be used at all in the battle. But the instant transmission in the instant Kamehameha just now is an instant transmission that is completely suitable for combat use. Moreover, this instant transmission is different from the instant transmission of Jepitel and Goku. It can go wherever you want and can reach any place within your sight instantly. In battle, it can completely achieve an unexpected counterattack effect. Back on the ground, Lin Chen smiled at Master Roshi and said, "Master Wu Tian, how was my Kamehameha move just now?" Master Roshi sighed and said, Lin Chen, I told you there is nothing left to teach you, but you still didn't believe me." In a blink of an eye, a month has passed. During this month, Lin Chen relied on instigating Master Roshi to demonstrate his moves in front of him, and had secretly learned all of his moves, including Kamehameha and After Image Fist. The talent of a junior martial arts genius is indeed very useful. Lin Chen's mission has been completed, but Taisai and the others' journey of cultivation has just begun. But Lin Chen, who had nothing left to learn, naturally could not waste time on Master Roshi. Just when Lin Chen was wondering whether he could go to King Kai for a visit next, the combat power detector that Lin Chen had been carrying these days suddenly sent a communication request. The original combat power detector, in addition to detecting combat power and life, can also be used as a communicator. The communication function inside is far superior to the technology on Earth. Even if it is tens of thousands of light years away, it can still achieve real-time communication. Bulma naturally copied this function into the new detector. The communication request that Lin Chen received at this moment came from the planet Vegeta. Lin Chen gave most of the 100 detectors that Bulma had made in advance to King Vegeta and his men. As more and more Saiyans have a combat strength of over 30,000, the old detectors left over from Frieza's army are no longer useful. This batch of new detectors just meets the needs of King Vegeta and his men, and all of them are given priority to be sent to troops going out on peacekeeping missions. Beep. Lin Chen answered the call and said, "King Vegeta, what's going on?" "Your Majesty, the Galactic Patrol just sent a communication that Princess Hanasia and her team may be ambushed by the Frieza Corps during this mission." "Frieza? Has he finally lost his patience?" Lin Chen frowned. Since the Saiyans formed a peacekeeping force under the Galactic King, they have fought against Frieza's army several times. As the Emperor of the Universe who once dominated the universe, the Frieza Corps has always been a great enemy feared by the Galactic King and the Galactic Patrol. The Galactic Patrol has been helpless in dealing with the Frieza Corps' actions of invading planets and destroying civilizations. But with the formation of the Saiyan peacekeeping force, the Galactic Patrol finally had the power to fight back. So after that, half of the Saiyan troops on Planet Vegeta were involved with the Frieza Corps. From preventing the other side from invading planets to liberating colonized planets, the Saiyan and Frieza Corps have fought each other more than a dozen times. During this period, Saiyan finally got the exact news. Frieza, who was defeated by Lin Chen in the satellite orbit of Planet Vegeta, did not die, but was rescued by the men of his father, King Kurd. However, because the injury was too severe, Frieza has not recovered in the past few years. His father, the Kurdish king, not only reorganized the Kurdish army for the sake of his children, but also let him and Frieza's army continue to fight outside, looking for methods and technology to revive Frieza. Until recently, I heard that Frieza has not only recovered his ability to move, but also his ability to fight. After knowing this news, in order to prevent Frieza's revenge, Lin Chen specifically told Bardock that Hanasia must be in charge of every peacekeeping force operation in the future. Although the Saiyans' strength is no longer what it used to be, the only one who can face off against the Emperor of Universe is Hanasia, who has become a Super Saiyan. But Lin Chen thought of the Dragon Ball combat power analysis he had read before, which mentioned that Frieza's combat power in his strongest state was over 100 million, and now that Hanasia has become a Super Saiyan, her combat power is only over 10 million. Lin Chen was still somewhat worried. Thinking of this, Lin Chen spoke to Master Roshi and the others, then used instant transmission and returned directly to Planet Vegeta. After returning to Star Vegeta, Lin Chen discovered that the situation seemed to be much worse than he had imagined. In Saiyans command center, Lin Chen saw King Vegeta with a panicked look on his face. "What's going on? Something happened?" "Yes, Your Majesty. We just received the latest news that Princess Hana and the soldiers who carried out this mission have all lost contact." King Vegeta said worriedly, "We are now contacting the Galactic Patrol to confirm the situation, but it is very likely that Princess Hana and the others have been killed by Frieza." "Hanasia, is she dead?" Chapter 33. Hanasia is dead. Lin Chen looked stunned. His own queen, Hanasia, who could transform into a Super Saiyan, was actually killed by Frieza? At this time, until Lin Chen arrived, Bardock and Paragus also rushed over. Paragus said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, don't be too sad. This is just the speculation of the Galactic Patrol. The specific situation has not been verified. It may be that their communicator has malfunctioned." Lin Chen raised his brows, but he was not so optimistic in his heart. After all, Hanasia's combat power was only over 10 million, far from comparable to the Frieza he knew. In the Dragon Ball world that Lin Chen knows, although Frieza has never mentioned his combat power in his final form, it is generally believed that in his final form, when Frieza exerts 100% of his strength, his combat power is around 120 million. If the fighting ability of Frieza in this world is also like this, then Hanasia will naturally not be his opponent. Even the current Lin Chen might not be able to defeat Frieza, because even after Lin Chen's full strength and transformation into a Super Saiyan, his combat power can only reach over 20 million. 20 million versus 120 million. This is a losing battle. However, Lin Chen has already decided to go to Han Asia to take a look. If they are still alive, take them back to Vegeta immediately. If Han Asia and the others are already dead, I will avenge them. Even if you know you are no match for me, you still do so. Recalling the original work, Son Goku only had a few million combat power, but he dared to fight the great devil Frieza alone. How could Lin Chen, who possesses the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline, retreat? Fighting to the death is the style of the owner of the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline. Which planet did Han Asia and the others go to? Give me the coordinates. Your Majesty. Bardock grabbed Lin Chen and said, Your Majesty, please think twice. You are the king of our Saiyan, you must not act rashly. Bardock, get out of here. Lin Chen shouted. But not only did Bardock not back down, even King Vegeta advised, Your Majesty, the situation is unclear now. You should wait until the Galactic Patrol has investigated before making a decision. Lin Chen glanced at him and said, King Vegeta, don't forget, besides Frieza, we Saiyans have another more powerful enemy. If we are afraid of Frieza, how can we fight him in the future? Send me the coordinates. King Vegeta was stunned. Of course he knew that the great enemy Lin Chen was talking about was naturally the gods of destruction Beerus. Indeed, compared to Beerus, what is Frieza? Thinking of this, King Vegeta finally lowered his head and said, I understand, Your Majesty. Soon, King Vegeta sent the coordinates of the planet where Han Asia and his team were heading this time. Han Asia and her team's mission this time is to go to a planet called TV. The civilization on this planet is even more primitive and backward than that on Earth, but the planet produces a special metal that is extremely suitable as material for universe spacecraft. According to the intelligence obtained by the Galactic Patrol in advance, a group of universe pirates have set their sights on this metal, intending to destroy the civilization on the planet and take the metal resources for themselves. Because these pirates were a highly combat-capable race, the Galactic Patrol could not handle them, so they called for Saiyan support. However, not long after that, the Galactic Patrol received a tip-off that there was another conspiracy behind the attack. The group of universe pirates was just a bait. Not far away from the planet Tiwi, the Frieza Corps had been waiting in the dark. After getting the coordinates of TV Star, Lin Chen immediately sensed it and then teleported there. At that time, Tiwi Star. In other words, the universe where the planet TV was supposed to exist. The planet called TV has disappeared, and all that can be seen at the scene are huge rock fragments like a meteorite belt, floating aimlessly in the empty darkness. And a huge and ugly figure was laughing wildly in front of the rock fragments. Ha ha ha! What beautiful fireworks! Stupid Saiyan monkeys! Such beautiful fireworks will be buried with you, you must thank me in the underworld. Ha ha ha! Frieza, whose body is half flesh and half machine and is currently in the third form, the one that looks like an alien, laughed wildly with a look of cruelty flashing across his face. Even though the battle just now left him in a state of disarray and the wounds on his body were still aching, in the end, he still had the last laugh. Even a powerful Super Saiyan is no match for him after all. Now, you wild monkeys should know. I, Frieza, am the most powerful person in the universe. Ha 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 ha. In the space some distance away from Frieza, a Frieza Corps disk mothership was floating far away. The universe people on the spaceship all had expressions of having survived a disaster. None of them expected that what was originally a carefully planned ambush would end up being their Frieza Corps that almost capsized. Fortunately, their leader Frieza was ultimately more skilled. I never thought that among those Saiyans there would be the legendary Super Saiyan. Yet, no wonder King Frieza was almost beaten to death by the Saiyans. Those Saiyans are really terrifying. Luckily, Saiyans can't survive in the universe. That female Super Saiyan was too careless, otherwise Lord Frieza would have died again this time. It's a pity that all the fighters on the planet were buried with those Saiyans. Yes. Shut up. On the spaceship, a universe man with purple skin and two black horns on his forehead shouted. His voice made the others shut up immediately. Because this person from the universe is none other than Captain Jinyu of the Jinyu Force, the best fighter in Frieza's army besides Lord Frieza. Captain Jinyu looked at the others with a cold face and an unfriendly expression. Don't you know what Lord Frieza's temper is like? If he heard what I just said, we will all die here. I survived with great difficulty. If anyone wants to drag me to hell with him, I will kill him first. Captain Jinyu gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Everyone thought that this ambush on Saiyan was foolproof. After being reborn with the help of high technology, King Frieza retained his original memories and clearly remembered that Saiyan defeated him by relying on a sneak attack from the Great Ape. So this time, Frieza is confident in his revenge plan. But they didn't expect that the Saiyan, whom the Frieza Corps had not come into contact with for several years, would be completely different and become much more powerful than before. Chapter 34. In the past, although the Saiyans called themselves a fighting nation, they were actually always treated as a laughingstock within the Frieza Corps. Because the combat power of most Saiyans rarely exceeds 10,000. If they didn't have the ability to transform into a giant ape, Saiyan would probably be treated as a mere soldier in the Legion. But this time, when hundreds of soldiers from the Frieza Legion launched an attack on the Saiyan troops of less than 10 people on the Tiwi planet, those Saiyans showed a completely different behavior than in the past. Just a few Saiyans were able to defeat the Frieza Corps. Even the Jinyu force that participated in the attack was almost wiped out. Likum, Bart, Gis, Guldo. Jinyu's 4 subordinates were also killed instantly by a female Saiyan during the battle. If Frieza, who had been a spectator, had not discovered that something was wrong with the female Saiyan and taken action personally, even Jinyu would have been nearly killed. The subsequent battle also made Jinyu understand why the female Saiyan was so powerful. It turns out that the opponent is the legendary Super Saiyan. Even Lord Frieza was beaten without any chance to fight back in front of her. Even after transforming twice in a row and increasing his fighting power to the extreme, he was still beaten to pieces. Fortunately, in the end, the angry Frieza took advantage of the opponent's unpreparedness and suddenly used his ultimate move, the planet-destroying bomb, to destroy the Tiwi planet. Otherwise, Lord Frieza, who had just been resurrected, would have been beaten to death by the Super Saiyan again. Damn it! Damn Saiyan, now I have to recruit members for the special forces again. I don't know if I can still find outstanding members like Likum and his men. Jinyu gritted his teeth. At this moment, the energy detector on the bridge suddenly issued a beeping alarm sound. Jinyu raised his head and asked, "What's going on?" "Captain Jinyu. A high-energy reaction has been detected ahead." "What? Where?" "It's near Lord Frieza. It looks like a Saiyan." "Call out." Lin Chen left the state of instant transmission and appeared at the location of TV Star. But the next moment, he suddenly found that his feet were empty and a feeling of suffocation instantly enveloped his whole body. Lin Chen held his breath in panic, and then he found that he was actually in a universe space. What about Tiwi Star? Lin Chen looked around and immediately understood what was going on. No wonder everyone, including Han Asia, lost contact. It turned out that the planet TV had been destroyed. And in this place, the only one who has the ability to destroy the TV planet in an instant and even prevent a strong man like Han Asia from escaping is Frieza. Frieza? Thinking of this, Lin Chen already felt a powerful aura around him. Turning around, he saw Frieza not far away, also looking surprised. After looking Frieza up and down, Lin Chen understood that Frieza was indeed not dead. Now he should be the mechanical Frieza that has been repaired using the technology of the universe people. However, compared to the original, the mechanical Frieza at this time is actually in its third form, rather than the final form in the original. Oh, oh. Frieza's signature evil laugh suddenly floated into Lin Chen's ears. Because the planet TV was just destroyed, there is actually still some gas in this area of the universe. These gases are not oxygen and cannot be breathed by people, but they can transmit sound. Let's see who this is. Isn't this the Saiyan who almost killed me back then? Frieza sneered, and suddenly his face turned cold, and he roared at Lin Chen, "Damn monkey! How dare you show up in front of me so brazenly? Die!" After saying that, Frieza suddenly pointed his finger at Lin Chen without saying anything, and a purple beam of light shot out. When enemies meet, they are extremely jealous of each other. Last time, Frieza almost died at the hands of Lin Chen. Now when he saw Lin Chen, he didn't even think about why Lin Chen suddenly appeared, and immediately used his killing move. The killing move that had killed hundreds of millions of people in the past hit Lin Chen head-on, bursting out with astonishing light. In the light, Frieza sneered, "Damn monkey, now I have finally avenged myself. Next is Vegeta Star, and all the Saiyans, all must die." "Die? The only person who will die today is you, Frieza." Suddenly, a voice entered Frieza's head. The next moment, Lin Chen's figure suddenly emerged from the flash, and seeing Lin Chen's appearance, Frieza couldn't help but reveal a look of horror on his face. Blonde hair. The Saiyan in front of me can turn my hair into golden yellow just like the female Saiyan before. You are also a Super Saiyan? No, it's impossible. How can there be so many Super Saiyans in this world? They are just legends, how can they be true? Death Beam. As soon as he finished speaking, Frieza condensed 3 purple beams of light from the 2 fingers of his right hand and shot them towards Lin Chen again. But this time, Frieza saw that his own ultimate move was actually slapped away by Lin Chen's glare and palm. Boom! The flying beam of light hit a passing meteorite, causing a burst of amazing light. What? How did my death beam happen? Frieza, is this what you're capable of? Lin Chen used his own chi to replace his mouth, and shouted to Frieza directly in the universe, hurry up and use your full strength. I want to avenge Han Asia and the Saiyans you killed. Full strength? A Saiyan wild monkey. Frieza's mouth twitched, and the 2 fingers of his right hand condensed 3 purple beams of light and shot them towards Lin Chen again. Lin Chen raised his hand and slapped away the 3 beams of light easily again, as if fanning a fly. 3 flashes of light appeared in the distance soon after. Ding! The talent of the primary martial arts genius is activated, and the move Death Beam is learned. Seeing that his elementary martial arts genius talent took effect again, Lin Chen was neither sad nor happy, he just sneered. I've let you hit me so many times, it's time for me to fight back. After saying that, Lin Chen put away his smile and rushed directly towards Frieza. Boom! Before Frieza could react, Lin Chen raised his hand and punched Frieza directly on the head. Call out! Frieza flew out like a cannonball, and finally crashed into a rock several stories high, then drilled out of the rock and flew into another rock again. One rock after another, until Frieza hit the 7th rock and then he stopped. What's going on? What's going on? Why is he so powerful? Why is a Saiyan so strong? Frieza screamed, completely unable to understand what was happening in front of him. Chapter 35. On Frieza's spaceship, Captain Jinyu and his crew also held their breath. Why? Why are there 2 Super Saiyans? Are Saiyans already that strong? Can King Frieza win? These Saiyans are so scary. Nonsense. King Frieza just killed a Super Saiyan. This Saiyan will be no exception. When someone from the universe said this, the people on the spaceship suddenly became quiet. Then, someone said tremblingly, by the way, this Saiyan, why hasn't he died yet? When will Saiyan be able to survive in the universe? When this voice sounded, everyone on the spaceship immediately gasped. Yes. Now it's the universe outside, and the planet TV has long disappeared. If that's the case, how did Saiyan survive in the universe? At this time, Frieza on the battlefield also thought of this problem. He looked at Lin Chen flying over with a surprised look on his face, and said angrily, Why? Why haven't you died yet? When did Saiyan become able to survive in a vacuum environment? Of course an ordinary Saiyan can't do that, but I'm not an ordinary Saiyan, I'm the legendary Super Saiyan. Lin Chen had a calm expression on his face and transmitted his voice through the surrounding air. The legendary Super Saiyan? Ridiculous. Do you think I will believe such nonsense? Frieza waved his hand. However, at this time, his supervision noticed that beside Lin Chen, there was a layer of faint light covering his entire body. Frieza guessed that thing should be some kind of energy shield. Frieza was not wrong, these energy shields were exactly the natural blood instincts in Lin Chen's legendary Saiyan bloodline. Since the vacuum can't kill you, then I will kill you myself. The moment Frieza finished speaking, his figure suddenly appeared in front of Lin Chen, and then he punched Lin Chen hard in the stomach. But to Frieza's surprise, his fist seemed to hit a block of iron, and Lin Chen did not react at all. Instead, he felt pain in his fist. Is that all the strength you have? Frieza, don't you still have a transformation? Use it. Or, do you want to be killed by me like last time without even using all your strength? Lin Chen said indifferently. But there was a hint of anger in his eyes. This time, Lin Chen was really angry. I'm not angry because Frieza killed Han Asia, but because Frieza didn't kill Han Asia in a fair fight, but instead used the method of destroying the planet. How could my woman, Lin Chen, be killed in this way? Come on, Frieza. Use all your strength. For the sake of those you killed, I will defeat you fairly this time. A mere Saiyan is worthy of my full efforts. The evil aura exploded instantly, Frieza's entire body was filled with white flames, and his fists began to hit Lin Chen frantically. Bang bang bang. Although no sound can be heard in the universe, the vibrations from Frieza's fists continue to echo in this space. Come on, King Frieza. King Frieza is invincible. On Frieza's ship, the universe people shouted in excitement as they saw Frieza launching attacks again and again. Among all the people, only Jinyu looked terrified and kept backing away. As the most powerful fighter on the ship, Jinyu could see that although Frieza had been attacking, Saiyan was actually fine. The gap between the two sides is completely overwhelming. Super Saiyan is so terrifying. How is it possible? How is it possible? After Frieza threw thousands of punches, he found that he had not hurt Lin Chen at all. I have a combat power of 3 million. Why can't I break your body? Hearing Frieza's words, Lin Chen frowned slightly. At this moment, Frieza suddenly stopped attacking and distanced himself from Lin Chen. Alright. Damn monkey. Since you want me to use my full strength, then I'll do as you wish. Prepare to experience terror, my final form has a combat power of over 100 million. Ha! The next moment, the evil aura exploded on the spot, and Frieza's body began to undergo new changes. However, this change seemed a bit disgusting to Lin Chen. Because he actually saw that Frieza's body was twisted and deformed, and some flesh and blood were turned out. Lin Chen didn't know that, in fact, Frieza himself was extremely reluctant to undergo the final transformation. However, the reason why he is unwilling to transform is different from the original Frieza. The original Frieza was not very willing to transform because it was difficult for him to control his power after he became his final form. But now Frieza is because transforming into his final form will cause him to suffer great pain. When Frieza was killed by Lin Chen, he was killed in the first form. Therefore, when Frieza's body was reassembled using high-tech means, Frieza's body was also repaired in the appearance of the first form. Although the technicians who repaired Frieza tried their best to ensure that the mechanical body would not affect Frieza's transformation, the mechanical body is not the original flesh and blood after all. Every time Frieza transforms, he will suffer great pain because of the residual energy in his body. The pain is greatest when it transforms into its final form. Therefore, even when facing Han Asia before, Frieza only transformed into the third form. Later, when he found that he still could not defeat Han Asia, he chose to win by destroying the planet instead of transforming into the final form. But now facing Lin Chen who can survive in a vacuum, Frieza can only choose to endure the pain and perform the final transformation. Ha! When the air mass surrounding him exploded completely, a petite Frieza finally appeared in front of Lin Chen. Frieza kept panting, with cold sweat on his face, and said, "Sorry for the wait. Saiyan. This is the strongest form of the king that you wanted to see." Frieza raised a finger and sneered at Lin Chen, "Let me tell you in advance that my current combat power is over 100 million. After hearing Frieza's words, Lin Chen's doubts were finally cleared up. A smile appeared on his face. 100 million? Frieza, I didn't expect you to be so good at bragging. Hey! Frieza was stunned, his face gloomy, and he asked, "What do you mean?" Haha, Frieza, can you tell me how you know that your combat power is 100 million? As far as I know, the maximum detection value of the most powerful combat power detection device of the Frieza Legion in the past was only 2 million. How did you get this 100 million combat power? Lin Chen said with a smile. This. Frieza's face froze. Lin Chen laughed and said, "Frieza, if I'm not mistaken, the so-called 100 million combat power you just mentioned is just bragging, right? In fact, you don't even know what your combat power is. The so-called 100 million combat power is just something you made up, right? As for your true combat power, unfortunately, your current combat power is only 11 million, which is about 1/10 of your own guess." Chapter 36. That's nonsense. Frieza said angrily. But he felt guilty in his heart. Because in fact, what Lin Chen said was not wrong at all. Frieza's guess as to the combat power of his strongest form was entirely his own. In fact, since the combat power detection device was invented, the maximum combat power that this device can detect is just over 2 million. This value is enough for more than 90% of the creatures in the universe, but it is useless for the Ice Demon clan. Because once they change back to their final, or to be more precise, original form, the combat effectiveness of the Frozen Demon clan will far exceed the limit that the combat effectiveness detection device can detect. Therefore, all along, Frieza, his father and others only had a rough estimate of their own fighting capabilities. Just like Frieza, who thought that his final form was dozens of times more powerful than his third form, and guessed that his combat power should be around 120 million. But in fact, Frieza's judgment was far from the actual value. When Lin Chen heard Frieza claim that his third stage combat power was 3 million, he felt something was wrong, because according to the detector made by Bulma, Frieza's third form combat power was only 2.4 million. Later, when Frieza transformed into his final form, he discovered that Frieza's combat power had only increased to 11 million, which was far from the more than 100 million combat power that he remembered Frieza claiming to have. He initially thought that Bulma's combat power detector was malfunctioning, but when he checked Frieza's combat power with his own system, the result he got was also 11 million. The 100 million combat power that Frieza always talked about in the past turned out to be a trick. Originally, Lin Chen was thinking of revenge for Han Asia and was ready to fight a life-and-death battle with Frieza. But now, it turns out that Frieza's strength is not even half of his own. What nonsense! What nonsense! What nonsense! At this time, Frieza kept roaring in anger, how can my combat power be only 11 million? Lin Chen pointed to the detector on his head. Frieza, let me tell you something. My combat power detector is a new type of detector invented by a genius. Its detection value has no limit. It tells me that your combat power is only 11 million. What? Frieza asked in surprise. By the way, my combat power is over 20 million, and the female Super Saiyan you killed before, her combat power is also 12 million. So, you are too weak. You wild monkey, how dare you say that I, Frieza, am weak? Damn it! Damn it! I, Frieza, am invincible. Frieza suddenly bent his left hand and turned his body half a circle to accumulate strength. The next moment, an astonishing energy wave was released by Frieza like a flame. Boom boom boom. All of them hit Lin Chen. But this is not the end yet. Frieza kept waving his hands, continuously sending waves of flames towards Lin Chen. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have mastered the move Flame Rift Wave. For almost a full minute, the dark universe was constantly illuminated by crimson flames. When Frieza stopped panting, a grim smile appeared on his face. You told me that I am weak. Now you know how powerful I am, right? Sorry, you're too weak. Suddenly, a voice sounded, and Frieza was stunned as if struck by lightning. His pupils suddenly shrank, and a cold chill rushed from the solace of his feet to his brain. When Lin Chen emerged from the smoke, he saw Frieza, who was already a little frightened, and felt a flash of fear in his eyes. Lin Chen sighed. Even with Frieza like this, if Han Asia wasn't unable to survive in a vacuum, she should be able to defeat him. Unfortunately, this Frieza is too evil and cunning. At the same time, Frieza's eyes were moving rapidly. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. Facing the threat of death, Frieza said in panic, "No, I have to leave here immediately and go to my father. I am no match for him now. Only my father can protect me." After knowing that he had no chance of defeating Lin Chen, Frieza focused all his attention on escaping. "Scum, I want you dead!" Frieza yelled, raised his hand and created a purple-black energy ball out of thin air. This energy ball was filled with the power of running wildly. Frieza pointed forward with force, and the energy ball shot towards Lin Chen. Ding! The talent of the primary martial arts genius is activated, and the move Planet Destroyer Bomb is learned. Just as the system prompt sounded in Lin Chen's mind, Frieza's body turned into a stream of light and flew away in the opposite direction of Lin Chen. Over there is Frieza's universe ship. Although Frieza can survive and move in the universe is different from the planet. The fastest way to move between stars is always to rely on the universe spacecraft, not the physical strength. Frieza looked at the spaceship that was gradually getting bigger in the distance, and said to himself, "When I get to my father's place, I will train hard. Just a few Saiyan monkeys. I will never lose to you." Because he was born strong, Frieza had never practiced since he was born. He believed that with his talent, he would be able to surpass the Saiyan as long as he practiced. After a while, they were almost at the spaceship, and Frieza could even see the terrified faces of his men inside the ship through the porthole. But he suddenly found that his men were BG on the window with fear on their faces and waving their fingers vigorously behind Frieza. "Behind you?" Frieza turned his head and looked back, and saw a blue light as dazzling as the sun suddenly appear in the space behind him. Lin Chen put his palms together, stared at Frieza in the distance, and silently chanted, "Turtle, faction. Chi." When he just read the word Chi, Lin Chen's figure suddenly disappeared from the spot, just passing by the energy ball thrown by Frieza. The next moment, Lin Chen suddenly appeared behind Frieza, shocking him so much that he turned around in disbelief. "How did you?" Frieza opened his mouth but didn't finish his words. Lin Chen has already shouted out the last word. "Achievement." With Lin Chen's loud shout, he pushed his hands forward, and the blue ki blast suddenly shot out, rushing forward with terrifying power. "This king cannot die." Knowing that it was too late for him to escape, Frieza shouted loudly and opened his palms, trying to push back Lin Chen's Kamehameha. However, his palms only lasted a short while in front of Ki Blast before being destroyed and swallowed up by the terrifying energy. Ah! The next moment, even Frieza himself disappeared in the blue light. Chapter 37. Boom! The extremely violent energy appears in the universe quickly and disappears just as quickly. Soon, everything returned to calm. Lin Chen stared ahead with cold eyes, and saw a bloody body floating in the universe 1,000 meters in front of him. That was the once invincible emperor of the universe, Frieza. But now, only less than a quarter of his original body remained. Frieza's lower body was completely gone, as were his hands, and the part of his head that had been mechanically repaired was also completely gone. But even so, Frieza's vital signs still exist. Frieza was hit head-on by the instant Kamehameha that Lin Chen used in the Super Saiyan form, but he was still alive. His vitality is truly terrifying. Lin Chen now had some understanding as to why Cell, who also possessed the name X Cell regeneration ability, could still be resurrected even if his upper body completely disappeared, while Piccolo could be beaten to death by Nappa's Ki Blast. The difference here is actually the super strong vitality of Frieza's Ice Demon clan. Lin Chen floated in front of Frieza, looked at him, raised his right hand, and prepared to give Frieza the final blow. As if knowing that he could not escape this time, Frieza actually showed a pleading expression on his face. "Please, please, save me, forgive me." "Save you? I'm not Son Goku. I don't have his kind-heartedness." Lin Chen sneered. Although Frieza didn't understand who Son Goku Lin Chen was talking about, he understood that Lin Chen seemed unwilling to let him go. Then, the feeling of fear gradually turned into despair, and then into anger. "Saiyan. This time, you win, but at least I have dragged a lot of Saiyans to be buried with me, and that female Saiyan, she should be your partner, ha 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 ha, when I go to hell, I will teach them a lesson." "Idiot. They won't go to hell with you," Lin Chen said coldly. "What?" Frieza was stunned. "After you die, I will find the Dragon Ball and revive Hanasia and the others. I can even restore this Tiwi planet. Dragon Ball. So go to hell yourself." Lin Chen pointed his finger, and a beam of energy that was exactly the same as Frieza's death beam, but was golden, flew out and cut off Frieza's only remaining right arm in one blow. "Death beam? Why do you know my moves? It's just a simple trick. You'll learn it naturally after watching it once. Frieza, I'll let you die by your own trick." After that, Lin Chen fired 5 more death beams, each of which completely evaporated what was left of Frieza's body. When the last death beam shot towards Frieza's head, it was accompanied by Frieza's scream of "I don't want to die." This extremely vicious and cruel emperor of the universe in the Dragon Ball world died completely. This time, Frieza's body was completely shattered and vaporized, and even with the most advanced technology, he could not be resurrected. After dealing with Frieza, Lin Chen turned his head to look at the spaceship of Frieza's army not far away, and slowly opened his 5 fingers to them. Frieza's subordinates on the spaceship suddenly cried out in surprise. "Run! Run! Please, the one who provoked you was King Frieza. You are such a powerful master, why did you attack us minions?" A group of universe people burst into tears. However, just as the huge universe spaceship was about to start, a Ki blast that cut through the sky rushed up with overwhelming force. The universe spaceship exploded and shattered in the Ki blast, and all the universe people in the spaceship were melted by the high temperature. Lin Chen suddenly frowned. Just now, just before Frieza's universe spaceship exploded, he seemed to see a small spherical spaceship escaping. "Do you want to chase after it?" Lin Chen thought about it and ignored it. He was just a small minion of Frieza's army, not worth his trouble. In comparison, it would be better to quickly resurrect Hanasia and the others. Thinking of this, Lin Chen used instant transmission and left this space directly. However, Lin Chen didn't know that the person sitting on the small spaceship that escaped early was not some insignificant minion, but Captain Jinyu. This ace elite under Frieza reacted faster than others when he saw Frieza being slaughtered by Lin Chen. He immediately fled to the circular spaceship for fighters and thus escaped by chance. Now, watching his former mothership disappear in the shock wave, Jinyu had a look of relief on his face and was breathing heavily. Fortunately, I escaped quickly. Saiyan. I didn't expect Saiyan to have such terrifying power. But just wait, Saiyan. I will definitely resurrect King Frieza. Our Frieza Corps will definitely make a comeback. Captain Jinyu shouted. With the help of the high-tech equipment on the spaceship, when Lin Chen told Frieza about Dragon Ball, everyone on the spaceship, including Jinyu, also heard about Dragon Ball. At that time, no one else on the spaceship reacted, but Jinyu thought of a legend he had seen in the past. According to legend, there is a mysterious race called Namek in the universe, who have the magical ability to make wishing beads. It is said that as long as you collect 7 wishing beads, any wish can come true. The Dragon Ball that Saiyan mentioned should be the wishing bead. It turns out that the legend is true, there is actually such a thing in the world. Just wait. I, Jinyu, will definitely get the Dragon Ball and revive King Frieza and the Jinyu force. Then, it will be our time to take revenge on you. Captain Jinyu yelled from the universe ship. At the same time, in the airspace tens of thousands of kilometers away from the original TV planet, a circular spaceship of the same model as Frieza's mothership also began to accelerate and move away from TV planet. King Cooler, King Frieza's vital signs have disappeared. When a universe person started to report, there was a sudden gasp on the spaceship. What? King Frieza is dead. Are Super Saiyans that powerful? At this moment, an egg-shaped aircraft floated in front of everyone. A voice somewhat similar to Frieza's came from the aircraft. Quiet. Frieza is always so naive. He suffered a lot from Saiyan last time, but he still didn't learn his lesson this time. It's all his own fault. Seeing the people on the egg-shaped aircraft, all the universe people at the scene knelt on the ground. Because the person sitting in this aircraft is their master, Cooler, the elder brother of Universe Emperor Frieza. Chapter 38. A short man with a blue face, purple skin, and white hair said to Cooler, King Cooler, should we go over there and take a look? King Frieza may not be dead yet. After all, he also. That's not necessary. Frieza must pay for his stupidity. Zaviza, we're going back. The subordinate named Shaviza hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, Yes, my king. Although Cooler has a much better temper than the capricious and violent Frieza, this does not mean that anyone can disobey his orders. Upon hearing Cooler's order, the people on board immediately began to get busy, maneuvering the spacecraft to turn around and return to Cooler's legion's territory. However, these people did not expect that their leader, King Cooler, already had a gloomy face and a long expression. In fact, the reason why Cooler didn't send the spaceship over was not because he wanted to leave Frieza to die, but because Cooler was afraid. Being able to survive in the universe and easily defeat Frieza, even Cooler might not be a match for such an enemy. He didn't dare to get closer, fearing that the person who killed Frieza had not left yet, nor did he dare to stay for long, fearing that the person would notice them. He, a great man like Cooler, actually ran away in panic because of fear. Cooler had never imagined such a thing in the past. The strong feeling of humiliation made Cooler make up his mind. Damn it! My Ice Demon clan is the strongest in the entire universe. Saiyan, just wait for me. I, Cooler, will definitely break through the limits of the Ice Demon clan. When my 4th stage of transformation is completed, that will be the day we meet. At that time, I will defend the dignity of my Ice Demon clan for Frieza. At this time, Lin Chen had also returned to Planet Vegeta and told King Vegeta and others what he had seen. While King Vegeta and the others were mourning the death of Princess Hannah and others, they were also cheering for Lin Chen for completely killing Frieza. Your Majesty Lynx, now that Frieza is dead, the threat we face is much smaller. I think we can just let go and do something big. King Vegeta suggested. What do you want to do? Lin Chen asked, are you still thinking about conquering the universe? Of course not. King Vegeta shook his head quickly. After being with Lin Chen for such a long time, he also knew that His Majesty was completely different from the Saiyan in the past. Although he also had ambitions, this ambition was completely different from that of Frieza. Moreover, Lin Chen has told everyone, including King Vegeta, many times that Saiyans' future cannot follow the past path of conquest and destruction relying on violence. King Vegeta then said, "Your Majesty Lynx, now that Frieza is dead, his subordinates must have fallen apart. In the past, Frieza conquered and controlled hundreds of planets. The inhabitants of these planets were controlled by Frieza just like us Saiyans. Since your Majesty wants us Saiyans to become the army of justice, why don't we go and liberate those planets? Liberate the planet." Lin Chen was thinking about King Vegeta's words when a voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! Detecting that the host is facing a new choice, triggering the strongest selection system. Option 1, liberate more than 70% of the Frieza Core's territory. Reward, 50 bottles of frozen demon serum. Option 2, liberate more than 70% of the Frieza Core's territory, and more than 50% of the Cooler Core's territory. Reward, 20 bottles of frozen demon serum. 1 tube of 100% S-cell reagent. Choice 3, liberate the southern galaxy controlled by the Frieza Core. Reward, a legendary Super Saiyan 2 form experience card. You can only choose 1 out of 3 for this mission. Multiple selections are prohibited. Seeing that the option was triggered, Lin Chen immediately signaled King Vegeta to wait a moment, as he needed to think about it. Then, Lin Chen checked the 3 options given by the system this time. Among the rewards this time, some were the first time Lin Chen had seen them and he needed to confirm them. System, what is the frozen demon serum? Ding! Back to the host, the frozen demon serum can transform any intelligent race into a frozen demon. Attention! This family of ice demons are the original ice demons, not mutants like the Frieza family. The original frozen demon? Is that what Frieza's ancestor, child, looked like? Lin Chen remembered that this kind of frozen demon didn't seem to have the transformation ability like Frieza and the others, so its combat power was not high, but it should be at least over 400,000. So this serum seems to be a bit useless to them Saiyan, but if Lin Chen wants to recruit aliens of other races as his subordinates in the future, this serum can come in handy. However, compared to the frozen demon serum, Lin Chen is more interested in choosing Sanli, the legendary Super Saiyan 2 form experience card. System, what is the function of this experience card? Ding! Back to the host, the experience card allows the host to transform into the legendary Super Saiyan 2 form for 1 hour. The legendary Super Saiyan 2 form? This is quite interesting. Lin Chen knew very well that the legendary Super Saiyan mentioned by the system should be referring to the legendary Super Saiyan transformation that he had not yet learned. This kind of transformation is a special transformation that only people like Lin Chen and Broly who have the legendary Super Saiyan in their bodies can master. The legendary Super Saiyan 2 is a more powerful variation of this transformation. In the original story, just the legendary Super Saiyan form alone already had nearly infinite power, and further transformations were unheard of by Lin Chen. Now that Lin Chen can't even master the legendary Super Saiyan form, he has the opportunity to experience a stronger transformation, which makes Lin Chen feel itchy. Option 1 and Option 2 can both improve Lin Chen's strength, but Option 3 is only an experience of becoming stronger for 1 hour. Which one should you choose? After thinking about it, Lin Chen suddenly discovered something else. Liberate the southern galaxy controlled by the legendary Super Saiyan? Wait, this choice mentions the southern galaxy controlled by the legendary Super Saiyan, isn't this a plot from the Dragon Ball movie? And the legendary Super Saiyan in that movie is just another version of Broly. Having lived in this world for so long, Lin Chen already knew that the Broly in his world should be the Broly in Dragon Ball Super. If that was the case, then why would the mission ask him to kill another Broly? What's going on? System, select Sanri's legendary Super Saiyan, what is his name? Ding! Back to the host, the other party's name is Broly. It really is. That's not right, system. Isn't Broly on Earth? How come he is in the southern galaxy? At this moment, Lin Chen was really full of questions. Chapter 39. Ding! Returning to the host, the target is Broly in the parallel universe, not the host's current universe. Hearing the system's answer, Lin Chen was stunned for a moment. It turns out to be Broly from a parallel universe? What the hell? I'm glad I asked this question, otherwise how could I complete this choice? Lin Chen knew that the Dragon Ball world was actually a very vast world. This world has the concept of multiple universes. There are actually 12 universes in the entire world. The universe where Lin Chen is located is one of the 12 multiple universes. The relationship between different universes is actually like that between different countries, the differences are huge. Take the Saiyan as an example. In the universe where Lin Chen is located, the Saiyan were originally a warlike and brutal race. But in another universe, the Saiyan here might be a group of peace-loving people. In the third universe, the Saiyan race might not exist at all. Based on these multiple universes, Lin Chen also knows that this world actually has the concept of parallel time and space. The so-called parallel time and space refers to a similar yet different world that was created in a universe for some reason. Take Lin Chen as an example. He knows very well that the world he is in right now must be a parallel space-time in a certain universe. Because of his appearance in this time and space, the Saiyan home planet Vegeta escaped the fate of being destroyed by Frieza. In addition to this world, there should be a world that Lin Chen has not traveled to. In this world, because Lin Chen did not appear, Planet Vegeta was destroyed by Frieza just like the plot in the original work. Then, the task given to Lin Chen by the system now is to let him go to a parallel universe to deal with another Broly. The question is, how should Lin Chen go to the parallel time and space required by the system? System, how do I complete option 3? Which parallel universe will you send me to? Ding! Back to the host. The host needs to find a way to complete the task by himself, but the system can remind the host that there is a way to reach the destination time and space in this universe. System, then I choose 3. After thinking about it, Lin Chen couldn't help his curiosity and chose the option that seemed the most difficult to achieve. After all, the frozen demon serum given by options 1 and 2 is not of much help to Lin Chen, whose subordinates are currently mainly Saiyan. As for the legendary Super Saiyan 2 form experience card, he wanted to see what it was all about. Ding! The host has started the selection. Please complete the task as soon as possible. Because this task is more difficult, the time limit is extended to 3 years. After confirming his new goal, Lin Chen also issued new orders to King Vegeta and his men. Starting today, Saiyan will begin to attack the original territory of Frieza's army and liberate the planets that were previously ruled by Frieza. Although there would be no system rewards for doing so, the attack on the Frieza Legion's territory would allow the Saiyans to accumulate some combat experience. The lesson of Han Asia proved that sometimes having great power alone is useless. 5 years of peace made many Saiyans forget the cruelty of battle. While the Saiyan Legion was attacking everywhere, Lin Chen also returned to Earth. The time limit for this system mission is 3 years, so Lin Chen plans to resurrect Han Axia and the others first. As soon as he returned to Earth, Lin Chen went to the turtle house first. When he came back, he saw Master Roshi teaching Tais and Bulma martial arts. Master Roshi. Tais. Bulma. Lin Chen greeted everyone, showed off his affection to Tais again, and then explained his purpose directly. You want this bead of mine? I've been studying this for years, but I still can't figure out what it is. Master Roshi raised the Dragon Ball in front of his neck with a strange look on his face. Yes, this thing is actually called Dragon Ball. There are 7 of them, and if you collect them all, you can get 1 wish. What? So magical! Master Roshi exclaimed, but still handed the Dragon Ball to Lin Chen. You are so strong, yet you still want this thing. Maybe you have something urgent to do? I'll give it to you. Thank you, Master Wu Tian. Lin Chen took the Dragon Ball, said goodbye to the 3 people, and then instant transmission went somewhere else again. But after Lin Chen left, a strange light flashed in Bulma's eyes. So what brother Lin Chen said about Shenron before was true. After taking Master Roshi's Dragon Ball, Lin Chen arrived at Baizai Mountain again the next moment. Little Goku, who still lived alone in the mountains, was hunting outside. Lin Chen secretly apologized and took away his 4-star bead. Then, he came to the Temple of Heaven. Brother Lynx. The first person to come out to greet Lin Chen was Broly, who had lived here for more than a year. He was wearing a set of clothes similar to those of a god, and he had started to grow taller, making it almost unrecognizable to Lin Chen. Yo! Broly! Looking at the Broly in front of him, who was completely different from the past and had a kind face, and thinking about the Broly who was specifically designated by him to deal with in this mission, Lin Chen felt that he was really amazing. He could even transform Broly into this. Broly, how are you doing here? Great! Thanks to Brother Lynx for bringing me here. Here, I can learn all kinds of new knowledge from Mr. Popo and the gods every day. Broly replied. Lin Chen smiled, then looked up at the approaching god. After saying hello, Lin Chen explained his purpose. God, I came here this time hoping that you can find the remaining Dragon Ball for me. I already have 2 here. Lin Chen took out the 2 Dragon Balls he had collected. The god took a look and said, Mr. Lin Chen, I remember I should have told you in the past that You don't know where Dragon Ball is, do you? Lin Chen interrupted the God of Heaven, help me this time, I can take you to visit your hometown. Namek. The god's eyes widened. The last time Lin Chen brought Broly here, the god already knew that he was an alien from another planet. As an alien orphan, he has always wanted to return to his hometown. But the god immediately frowned and shook his head, saying, No, I am the god of the earth. I cannot leave this temple for too long. Lin Chen immediately said, Don't worry, it won't take too long. I will use instant transmission to take you to Namek. It will only take a moment. This time, the god was finally moved. If it's just a few hours, it's really no big deal. So, driven by the desire to return home, the god no longer gave Lin Chen any perfunctory treatment and immediately instructed Mr. Popo to collect all the remaining Dragon Balls. Chapter 40. This is Namek. When the god saw Namek's homeland for the first time, his body couldn't help but tremble. A sense of intimacy from the depths of his soul made him unable to help but take a deep breath. Even the air seemed to have a familiar smell. Come on, God, I'll take you to see the Great Elder. Lin Chen patted the god on the shoulder, and then led him to fly towards the residence of the Great Elder. Soon after, the god met the first Namek person he had ever seen in his life besides Piccolo Daimao. The one who greeted the two was still the Great Elder's guard, Nalu. He bowed to Lin Chen and said, Long time no see, Mr. Lin Chen. The Great Elder asked me to come out and welcome the wandering Namek people home. What followed was naturally a harmonious scene of recognizing one's ancestors and returning to one's roots. The god also learned from the Great Elder that he was the child of a Namek man named Kadaz, and was sent to Earth by Kadaz when a climate disaster occurred in Namek. During this period, Lin Chen stood quietly by and watched everything. After the gods and the Elder reminisced about the past, the Elder said to Lin Chen, Mr. Lin Chen, are you here for Dragon Ball? Yes, Great Elder. I want to use the Dragon Ball to make a wish. Do I need to be tested again? Hehe, Mr. Lin Chen, Namek's Dragon Ball will always be available to you. The Great Elder possessed a certain ability to predict the future, and he had seen in the past that Lin Chen might be able to help the Namek people. Moreover, as time went by, the Great Elder discovered that every time they met, Lin Chen would be much stronger than before. The Great Elder thought it was worthwhile to build a good relationship with a strong man like him. After getting the permission from the Great Elder, Lin Chen quickly collected all 7 Dragon Balls from Namek villages across the planet with the help of his instant transmission. When Namek's 7 Dragon Balls were gathered, the god also took out the 7 Earth Dragon Balls he brought. Is this the Dragon Ball you made? You really are an excellent Namek. When the Great Elder saw Earth's Dragon Ball, he praised it. Thank you for the compliment, Great Elder. Then, Lin Chen, can we get started? Okay. Lin Chen nodded. Shenron, come out. Make my wish come true, the immortal shouted. Then, Nehru also called out the code word to summon Shenron in Namek. The next moment, Namek's sky suddenly fell into darkness. 14 Dragon Balls glowed golden at the same time. Then, 2 Shenrons, one large and one small, rose out of thin air from the golden light. The Shenron of Earth and the Shenron of Namek appeared at the same time and in the same place. This scene, which had never appeared in the original book, suddenly appeared in front of Lin Chen and the others. However, looking at this scene, the first thing Lin Chen said was, God, your Shenron is so small. A drop of cold sweat dripped down the god's forehead, and he said ashamedly, Yes, compared to the Great Elder, I am still far behind. The Elder laughed and consoled him, It's okay, the appearance is just an illusion, the most important thing is that your Shenron is full of power, which is good. Thank you, Great Elder. The god thanked him and said to Lin Chen, tell me your wish. Lin Chen nodded, and said to Nehru first, Mr. Nehru, my first wish is to ask Shenron of Namek to restore the planet Tiwi. Then, he said to Shenron on Earth, please revive the life on the planet Tiwi that was destroyed by Frieza. This is the reason why Lin Chen summoned 2 planets Shenron at the same time this time. This time, Lin Chen wants to resurrect more than just Han Asia, and Namek's Shenron cannot revive multiple lives at once, Therefore, if Lin Chen wants to resurrect people, he can only use Earth's Shenron. But once again, Shenron on Earth can only make one wish, and in order to revive the people on Tiwi, Tiwi must first be restored. That's why Lin Chen collected Dragon Balls from 2 planets at the same time this time. When Lin Chen expressed his wish, he saw Shenron Porunga of Namek and Shenron of Earth's eyes light up one after another. Shenron Palunga spoke first, Saiyan, your wish has come true, Tiwi star has been restored. Then, Shenron on Earth also said, your wish has come true, Saiyan, thank you for letting me see my brother, then, goodbye. With that, Earth Shenron's hovering body transformed into 7 Dragon Balls again, ready to fly to various parts of the world. But now they are in Namek, so Lin Chen will naturally not let these Dragon Balls fly around, otherwise it will be difficult to bring the Dragon Balls back to Earth. So, before the Dragon Ball flew away, Lin Chen jumped high and caught all 7 Dragon Balls at once. At this time, on the planet TV, many people stood up from the ground with puzzled expressions, including Hanasia and the Saiyans who were already dead. Frieza. As soon as she was resurrected, Hanasia screamed, but then she found herself on the planet Tiwi. That's weird. Where are Frieza and the others? Princess Hana. Near Hanasia, several Saiyans who had just been resurrected gathered together and asked each other what had happened. Many of them remembered that they seemed to be dead. Hearing their conversation, Hanasia suddenly realized that she seemed to be dead too. Because that cunning Frieza, when he couldn't beat her, suddenly made a move to destroy the Tiwi planet. If that's the case, then why did they all come back to life? Even Tiwi was restored? While Hanasia and the others were full of doubts, some other universe people on the planet began to scramble to board the nearby universe spaceships and escape towards the universe. These universe people are all combatants of Frieza's army. When they ambushed Saiyan before, they landed on the planet, but were killed by Frieza along with Tiwi. Now that they were suddenly resurrected, although they didn't know what had happened, they still recognized the Saiyans around them. The female Saiyan among them was so powerful that she even beat up King Frieza. If they didn't run away now, were they waiting for others to kill them again? On the other side, Namek. Neilu said to Lin Chen, Mr. Lin Chen, your wish has been fulfilled. What is your second wish? The second wish? Oh, I don't think I have thought about it yet. Lin Chen smiled embarrassedly. Upon hearing this, the gods and others at the scene immediately fell to the ground. Chapter 41. Speaking of which, Lin Chen's original purpose of summoning Shenron this time was to resurrect Hanasia and the others. And because Namek's Shenron couldn't revive multiple people at once, he had to call Earth's Shenron over as well. But apart from resurrection, Lin Chen has never really thought about any wish. What wish should I make? Because there was no prior preparation, Lin Chen had to think about it now. Got it. Porunga, my second wish is to reinforce Planet Vegeta so that it won't be easily destroyed by external forces. Lin Chen also learned from Hanasia's lesson. Even a Super Saiyan is sometimes too late to save the planet. Although Frieza is dead now, there are still countless unknown and powerful enemies in the universe. In the Dragon Ball world, star explosion is a very easy thing. Even if one has only tens of thousands of combat power, one still has the ability to destroy a planet. Lin Chen is not afraid of encountering strong enemies, but he is afraid that someone will be so cruel in the future that they will take advantage of his absence to launch a sneak attack on Planet Vegeta and directly blow up the entire planet. That would be terrible. This is easy. Porunga uttered a deafening voice, and his eyes lit up. After a moment, Porunga said, the second wish has been fulfilled. The third and final wish, tell me now. Lin Chen, please tell me your third wish. Nialu also said. My third wish is to obtain the potential development technique like the Great Elder. Lin Chen said the wish out loud. Lin Chen had been coveting this ability for a long time. Although the Great Elder's ability to develop potential was not as good as that of the old Supreme Kai in the future, it was still very useful in the early stages. With this ability, Lin Chen can improve Saiyan's overall strength. This can be considered as compensation for not choosing the task that could improve my strength before. This wish is easy. As Porunga's eyes lit up red again, Lin Chen suddenly felt something merging into his brain, and then he saw changes in his personal attribute panel. Host, Lin Chen Combat Power, 1.36 million Bloodline, Legend of Super Saiyan Bloodline Skills, Instant Transmission, Control of Chi, Elementary Martial Arts Genius Talent, Elementary Potential Development Technique. Moves, Planet Destroyer Bomb, Death Beam, Flame Wave, Kamehameha, After Image Fist. Saiyan, all your wishes have come true, so goodbye. With that, Porunga rose into the sky and turned into 7 Dragon Balls again, which scattered all over Namek. The whole sky became bright again, and the brilliant sunshine shone down on the earth, emitting a warm and peaceful atmosphere. Seeing that his wish had been fulfilled, Lin Chen smiled contentedly, casually took out a spirit tree fruit from the system space and handed it to Nilu. This is the fruit of the spirit tree. It can improve combat effectiveness, but its greater function is to strengthen the body and restore vitality and mental strength. You can give it to the great elder to eat, so that you can increase his lifespan. Lin Chen said. Really? Thank you then. Nilu said gratefully. Lin Chen had a feeling that he might need to use Namek's Shenron again soon, so he gave the great elder a spirit tree fruit in order to improve their relationship. Just as Lin Chen summoned Shenron to fulfill his wish, in a corner of the universe, a round spaceship landed on a planet. The name of this planet is Kurd 001. As the name suggests, this place is the base camp of Frieza's father, King Cold. When the spaceship landed, it was immediately surrounded by a group of aliens. Listen up everyone in the spaceship, come out and get checked. Although this spaceship had the identification signal of the Frieza Legion, its arrival was completely unannounced, so the Kurdish Legion soldiers were all on high alert. The Kurdish Legion is more well-trained than the Frieza Legion. Soon, the hatch of the spacecraft opened and a purple figure walked out. Don't attack. I'm Jinyu, the captain of the Jinyu Special Forces under the Frieza Corps. Captain Jinyu. The aliens were stunned for a moment, but soon recognized the famous Captain Jinyu. Captain Jinyu, this is King Cold's place, what are you guys from Frieza Corps doing here? I have an urgent matter to report to King Kurd. King Frieza was killed. Jinyu said with a cold face. Not long after, in King Cold's palace, King Cold, who looked like Frieza's second form, heard the bad news about his son. In his rage, King Cold could barely control the breath in his body. What? My son Frieza is dead. Feeling the air around him shaking, Jinyu knelt on one knee in fear. I'm sorry, King Kurd, His Majesty Frieza was killed by a Saiyan, and the other party seems to be the legendary Super Saiyan. Kurd waved his hand vigorously. Super Saiyan? Ridiculous. That's just a legend. That's not a legend. Sir, we encountered 2 Super Saiyans this time, and one of them can even survive in a vacuum. King Frieza was beaten to death by that Saiyan himself. What about you? Frieza was beaten to death, what were you doing? The Kurdish king glared at Jinyu. My lord. I'm sorry, I was on King Frieza's spaceship at the time, and their battle was beyond our ability to help. But my lord, I know a piece of news. Jinyu originally wanted to tell King Kurd the information about Dragon Ball that he overheard. As long as they find 7 Dragon Balls, they will be able to revive Frieza. However, Jinyu hadn't finished speaking yet. Whoosh! A beam of death pierced through Jinyu's body. Kurd said gloomily, if you can't help my son, why are you still alive? Puff! Kurda! Jinyu lay on the ground, unable to believe that he was going to die like this. Obviously, he was here to bring King Cold the news that he could revive Frieza. Obviously, he was loyal to the Frozen Demon clan. Why? King Cold left without looking back, and then threw a sentence to his men, burn that guy's body for me. He makes me sick. Yes. An alien that looked like a lizard saluted, then lifted up Jinyu's body and walked towards the place in the palace where corpses were burned. But just as the alien walked into the incinerator with Captain Jinyu's body, suddenly, a voice was heard in the room. Exchange. A purple light suddenly lit up in the room, but soon everything returned to calm. After a moment, the lizard alien came out, but on his face was the signature smile that Captain Jinyu had worn in the past. He, I won't die like this. Chapter 42. A few days later, Kurd 001 planet. At this time, Captain Jinyu no longer existed in this world. Everyone thought Captain Jinyu was dead. However, no one knew that the soul of Captain Jinyu, who died that day, had been replaced by an unknown alien warrior. The real Captain Jinyu was drinking alone in a bar on the planet under a new identity. Jinyu still cannot calm down about the fact that he came to Kurd with loyalty but was ruthlessly killed by him. After all, he had always been proud of being a member of Frieza's army, but he never expected that his pride and loyalty would almost bring him to death. Damned King Kurd! I have worked so hard for you, the frozen demon clan, and have been so respectful to you, and this is how you thank me. If I didn't know how to swap bodies, I would have died a long time ago. The real fool is your stupid son Frieza, and you actually blame me. I won't accept this. I won't accept this. Jinyu smashed the table in front of him with one punch, but at this moment, a strong universe man in the bar came over and lifted Jinyu into the air. Hey! Kid! How dare you destroy things in the bar? Hand over the money quickly, or you will die. Bah! Jinyu spat at the other person with disdain. But he forgot that he is no longer the Captain Jinyu with a combat power of 120,000. The combat power detector on the face of the universe man in front of him beeped a few times, and he sneered, ha ha ha, an idiot with a combat power of only 5,000 wants to act like a big shot. After saying that, the other party grabbed Jinyu's head and walked towards the back alley of the bar. But the people in the bar were not surprised by this. This is King Cold's territory. The law of the jungle prevails and the strong are respected, this is the basic law here. But a moment later, a voice was heard in the alley behind the bar. Exchange. A purple light flashed by. After a while, the strong universe man came out of the alley. But at this time, the body of this universe man was replaced by Jinyu's soul. Only 10,000 combat power? With this combat power, you are still a waste. Jinyu spat in disdain. At the same time, an idea kept growing in his mind because of this conflict. I can't go on like this. I need a stronger body. I want to become stronger. I won't let my life be controlled by others anymore. I want. Suddenly, Jinyu froze in place, his eyes fixed on a huge sculpture that was there. That sculpture was the statue of the Kurdish king. Jinyu's eyes gradually turned cold, and he smiled evilly, ha ha ha, I actually forgot that for me, the best body is actually right in front of me, isn't it? King Cold. You betrayed me and humiliated me. You deserved it if I took your body. Ha 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 ha. Soon, a mysterious attack on the planet Kurd 001 caused a sensation. Kurdish army masters are constantly being attacked and killed on the planet. These attacks were extremely bizarre because judging by the bodies, the victims were killed at close range and, oddly, there were no signs of resistance on their bodies. Because the number of deaths increased, and the combat effectiveness of the dead continued to increase, for a time, the entire Kurdish 001 planet was in panic. The Kurdish king, who was already angry about his son's death, became even more furious when he learned about this. What a bunch of rubbish! The intruder must be a guy with high combat power. Use the detector to find him out. Yes. Under the order of the Kurdish king, the entire Kurdish army was mobilized to hunt down suspicious persons on the planet. Anyone who was not a member of the Kurdish army and had a combat effectiveness of more than 10,000 were all detained as suspicious persons and interrogated. Despite this, the murderer has not been found. That day, after hearing the report and knowing that the murderer was still missing, Kurd became furious again, leaving all his subordinates in silence. I will give you 3 more days. If you can't find the murderer within 3 days, you will all die. Yes, yes. Just as Kurd's men hurried away, one of his bodyguards suddenly came back. King Kurd, I actually have something to report. The Kurdish king frowned slightly, then smiled, okay, tell me. The guard stepped forward, looked at the attendants guarding the room, and said, Your Majesty, I think I know the true identity of the murderer. Oh? Tell me about it. My lord, can you let them go first? I want to tell you the identity of this person alone. Upon hearing this, the Kurdish king waved his hand gently. His servants immediately lined up outside the room and closed the door. Can you tell me now? Who is the murderer? Kurd said. The murderer is me. As soon as the guard finished speaking, he suddenly rushed out and threw an energy bomb at King Cold. Boom! A huge explosion suddenly occurred where the Kurdish king was standing. The shock wave of the explosion spread in all directions, and everyone in the Kurdish palace felt it. The servants outside the door were the first to notice that the explosion occurred in King Cold's room next door. They shouted and tried to open the room, but found that the door was locked. Quick! Find a way to open the door. Just as these servants were busy, the royal guard in the room, Captain Jinyu, who had occupied the body of a royal guard, rushed towards the thick smoke. Although he knew that an energy bomb could not hurt the Kurdish king at all, he still rushed out. The next moment, Jinyu was grabbed by the neck by the Kurdish king behind the smoke. Roar, roar. King Kurd sneered, I never thought that my personal guard would be the murderer. What on earth are you thinking of, that you actually want to attack this king? What do you think? Jinyu chuckled, I just want to be closer to you. The Kurdish king's expression suddenly changed. The next moment, he saw the guy he caught suddenly open his mouth and yell, exchange. Hearing these words, the Kurdish king suddenly had an image of a guy who should have been dead in his mind. He vaguely remembered that his son had mentioned this person to him. Dad, I recently found a very interesting guy. The race this guy belongs to is a very rare race in the universe. They have no combat power, but they can exchange bodies with other lives. Before I met this guy, he had already exchanged bodies with dozens of lives. I never thought that there would be such an interesting guy in the universe. I've already planned to let him be the captain and form a special forces team. Cooler has the Cooler Mecha team, and I also want to have a special forces team. Oh? This is quite interesting. What is this person's name? Jinyu. Jinyu. It turns out that this person is Jinyu. Chapter 43. Bang. When the guards outside heard the Kurdish king's shouts in the room, they dared not delay any longer and immediately used shock waves to break down the door of the room. Kurdish king. When they rushed into the room, they saw the Kurdish king holding a personal guard in his hand. However, the guard's head was drooping to the side, and he was obviously dead. Kurdish king, he. You idiots. He is the murderer of the recent series of attacks. The Kurdish king threw the body to the ground and said, clean up the scene and burn this guy's body. After saying that, the Kurdish king walked out of the room. Yes. A group of servants knelt on the ground and watched the Kurdish king leave. Then they looked at the body on the ground and wondered, this guy is the king's personal guard. How dare he attack the king? I don't know. Maybe he's crazy? He's already a personal guard, but he still doesn't know how terrifying the Kurdish king is? What a fool! These servants did not know that the Kurdish king they were talking about was actually the corpse on the ground. The person who just walked out was actually Jinyu, who had taken over the body of the Kurdish king. When Jinyu returned to the room that belonged to King Kurd and closed the door, he finally couldn't help laughing, ha ha ha. Power. I can feel the power. Is this the body of the frozen demon clan? The power in this body is surging and overflowing, it seems like it is about to explode. That's right. The frozen demons can also transform. King Kurd, like Frieza, has been suppressing his power. If I transform again, won't I be invincible? Suddenly, Jinyu calmed down, no. I'm not invincible yet. Even if I become the final form, I'm afraid I won't be a match for the Super Saiyan. Get stronger. I still need to get stronger. This body should be able to continue to be trained, it still has a lot of potential to be developed. Oh right. And that Dragon Ball. I'm going to use it to achieve immortality. As long as I can have an eternal life, plus this frozen devil body. I, Captain Jinyu, will definitely rule the entire universe. Just wait, Saiyan. Once I surpass the limits of the frozen demon clan, I will come to you. The most powerful emperor in the universe is neither Frieza nor you Saiyan, but me, Jinyu. Jack. Does that Zuno really know everything? Of course. Master Zuno is the most powerful in the entire universe. His knowledge may even be greater than that of your Shenron. Jack said as he drove the spaceship. At this time, Lin Chen and Tais were on Jake's spaceship. Their goal is a magical planet somewhere in the universe. On this planet, there lived a magical character named Zuno. According to Lin Chen's memory, this Zuno was an incredible man who knew everything in the world. The reason why he wanted to find Zuno was to know how to travel to a parallel time and space. So after returning to Earth, Lin Chen asked Tais to contact Jake for him. Although he had instant transmission, he didn't know the planet where Zuno was, so he had to let Jake lead the way. As for Tais, after hearing about Zuno, she wanted to go and see it for herself. An omniscient universe person, is there anything more interesting than this? Originally Bulma also clamored to come over, but Lin Chen knew the girl's true thoughts and directly refused. Zuno's planet is quite far away from the Earth, and everyone has been flying for several hours, so gradually, they began to lose patience. Jack, how long will it take to get there? Tais asked boredly. It will take another 2 hours, right? Jack estimated. What? 2 hours? Your spaceship is too slow. Lin Chen's instant transmission is more convenient. After hearing Tai's words, Jack said unhappily, please. This spaceship was given to me by the King of the Galaxy as a reward for the Battle of TV Star. I paid for it with my life. Ah? TV Star? I heard Lin Chen say. So, Jake, you were already dead by then? Hey, what is the world after death like? Tell me. Taisai asked curiously. I don't know. Jack said, turning his head. Tais quickly grabbed his shoulders and asked, hey? Don't be stingy, tell me, I can use it in my new book. Jack was surprised and asked, a new book? Isn't Galactic Patrolman Jack finished? Yes, it's finished. The new book I'm serializing now is called My Saiyan Boyfriend. It's now #1 on the bestseller list. It's much better than Galactic Patrolman Jack. Humph. Then I won't say anything. Jack turned his head again and said angrily. As the two men were talking like a crosstalk, Zuno's planet finally arrived. Like that Zuno's planet, Zuno Star, is also somewhat magical. The planet is not big, only a few times larger than King Kai, and it looks like a planet wrapped in a huge wooden box. The surface of the planet is colorful, with only Zuno's palace on it. The Zuno palace is full of Japanese style, but there is a huge escalator in front of the palace, which makes the whole palace feel particularly weird. The three of them took the escalator to the corridor in front of the palace and saw a long queue in front. As soon as the three of them stood firm, several aliens who looked like warriors came over with a small notebook in their hands. When Taisai saw these warriors, she asked, hey! These guys look so strange. Which one of them is Zuno? We are not Zuno. We are servants serving Master Zuno. These warrior aliens said in unison. Then, they surrounded Lin Chen and said, Lord Zuno said that there were uninvited guests, so we came to check. Uninvited guest? Tais asked curiously. Yes, Lord Zuno does not see anyone without an appointment, said a servant. Ah? Jake. Why didn't you tell us? Taisai said angrily to Jake. After flying for several hours, she still couldn't meet him. Anyone would be angry. Jake was also dumbfounded. It was his first time coming to Zuno Star and the first time he knew about such a rule. At this time, the attendant opened the small notebook in his hand and said, if you make an appointment now, you can get it scheduled for 5 years later. How about that? Do you want to make an appointment? 5 years. Hearing this, Jack said awkwardly, I'm the Galactic Patrol, can you make some concessions? No. Zuno's servant refused without hesitation. Chapter 44. What should I do? Jack was suddenly at a loss. Simple. Lin Chen smiled and stood up, I have an appointment, let me see Zuno. You. Zuno's attendant was stunned for a moment, then flipped through the book, what's your name? Let me check it. Lin Chen. My Saiyan name is Lynx. Lin Chen? Lynx. After the attendant looked carefully, he said regretfully, sorry, you are not on the reservation list. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly saw a golden light in front of him. The next moment, Lin Chen suddenly turned into a Super Saiyan and fired a ki blast towards the outside of the corridor. How ridiculous! Zuno planet is protected by the power of Lord Zuno. You can't possibly cause any harm to the planet. Boom! The ki blast crashed into a forest in the distance, penetrated the ground, and went straight out from the other side of Zuno Star. Seeing this scene, all the guards and guests widened their eyes and their noses ran. Excuse me, have you found my name? I found it. Is that Lin Chen? Please come in. The customers who were originally queuing immediately separated into two sides and made way for Lin Chen. Let's go. Lin Chen did not return to normal. He just walked towards the depths of the corridor with his golden hair. Taisai was about to follow, but was stopped by Jack. Tais, that's the Super Saiyan. Taisai replied, yeah? Don't you think it's cool? The hair can actually turn golden. Lin Chen said that it can turn into yellow, green, red, and blue in the future. After that, she glanced at Jake and said, you didn't want to arrest him because he was causing trouble just now, did you? Jack quickly shook his head, how could that be? We are companions, ha ha ha. Soon, everyone came to a hall deep in the building, and saw a man who looked like a Japanese samurai sitting on a bull-like flying vehicle. And he is the master of this planet, Lord Zuno. Next to Zuno, a servant was whispering to him, apparently reporting what had just happened outside. When Lin Chen walked in, Zuno immediately said with a stern face, "Are you the one who broke the rules and barged in? What's the matter? Do you have any objections?" Lin Chen asked. Zuno did not reply, but looked straight ahead with a mysterious look. At this time, another attendant standing next to Zuno said, "Please offer tribute." In fact, Zuno's tribute requirements are very low. A kiss is enough to answer a question. If it is a beautiful woman, there may be more questions that can be asked. But how could Lin Chen, the king of Saiyan, do such a shameful thing? What is tribute? This. Lin Chen raised a finger, and a planet-destroying bomb condensed in his hand. This is one of Frieza's strongest moves, and the power contained in it is enough to easily destroy a planet. As a person with mysterious powers, Zuno naturally knew the power of this move immediately. He nodded in panic and said, "Enough, enough. You can ask 1, no, 3, no, you can ask as many questions as you want." "Very good." Lin Chen waved his hand and directly crushed his planet-destroying bomb. "So listen carefully, my question is, how do you travel to a parallel universe?" Zuno coughed and began to explain like chanting a mantra. "There are the following methods to travel through parallel time and space. The first is to use a time machine. Theoretically, time machines do not exist. Every time you use a time machine, you are actually traveling to a parallel time and space. The second way is to become a Supreme Kai and use the time ring dedicated to Supreme Kai. When the world generates different parallel time and space, green time rings will be born. Using the corresponding rings, you can reach different parallel time and space." Before Zuno could finish, Lin Chen interrupted, "Wait. Zuno, what I want to know is how to travel to a specific parallel universe." Lin Chen realized that he might have asked the wrong question, and Zuno's answer was not what he wanted to know. "In the parallel universe I want to go to, there is a legendary Super Saiyan who conquered the entire southern galaxy. I want to know how to get to this universe." Zuno was stunned for a moment, then he actually replied, "Is the legendary Super Saiyan in that time and space you are talking about called Broly? You know all this?" Lin Chen was suddenly surprised and unbelievable. He didn't expect that Zuno even knew this. "Of course I know. My extensive knowledge is because I have some special ability similar to the Great Prophecy. As long as something exists in this world, there is nothing I don't know." Zuno replied. Sharp. Lin Chen really admired this funny-looking guy. "Then can you answer my question just now?" "Of course. There are 2 ways to go to the time and space you mentioned. The first is to get help from the Supreme Kai of Time, Kane. The Supreme Kai of Time is the Supreme Kai who controls all parallel dimensions. She has the ability to observe and freely enter all parallel dimensions. But by the way, the Supreme Kai of Time transcends all universes and is independent of Xeno's control. Unless the Supreme Kai of Time actively summons her, mortals will have no chance of seeing her." Lin Chen then asked, "What about the second one?" "The second one?" Zuno just opened his mouth and suddenly seemed to be stuck, and his body began to twitch continuously. It was the first time that Zuno's guards saw Zuno like this, and they rushed up in panic, but at this moment, Zuno raised his hand and signaled them not to come closer. The second way is to find Tamulp's medal." "Tamulp's medal? What is this?" Lin Chen asked. "This is an extremely rare metal in the universe, also known as the Medal of Time. The Supreme Kai's time and space ring is made of this metal. By the way, this metal has become extinct in our universe. That doesn't matter. I can ask Shenron to transform it." "Then what? What should I do after finding this metal?" Lin Chen continued to ask. Zuno replied, "Owning the Medal of Time is the first step. Next, we need to bring the Medal of Time to a place where time and space are abundant, that is, to infuse the power of time and space into the Medal of Time." "That?" Without waiting for Lin Chen to ask, Zuno said, "A black hole is a place where time and space are abundant. To inject the power of time and space into the Medal of Time is to throw the Medal of Time into the black hole." "Is that all?" Lin Chen frowned. Why did this method sound unreliable? Zuno nodded and said, "Yes, that's it. But in fact, doing this can only open a space-time door, and cannot control the space-time that the space-time door leads to. However," Zuno suddenly said solemnly, "my ability tells me that if a Saiyan named Lynx does this, he can open the way to the designated space." Chapter 45. Lin Chen was a little surprised. Why could he open the road to the designated space? Hey! Are you talking nonsense again? Brother Lin Chen doesn't have any superpowers, how could he do this? Tai shouted at the side. Zuno didn't even look at her, you don't have a tribute, so you can't ask questions. What? You fat BD, Weevu. Before Taisai could finish her words, Jake covered her mouth. Please, Taisai is not Lin Chen, how can she speak to Lord Zuno like this? Zuno said, if it's not a duplicate name, then it's you. You have special powers. As long as you take the metal of time to the black hole, you can open the way to the designated space. Could it be? Lin Chen's eyes narrowed slightly, and he somewhat understood what Zuno meant. The special power that Zuno mentioned was probably referring to the system in Lin Chen's body. In other words, as long as he takes the metal of time to a black hole, his system might be able to help him go to another time and space where Broly is? System, is this what you mean? Lin Chen asked silently in his heart. Ding! Replying to the host, the system prohibits the disclosure of relevant information before the new function meets the triggering conditions. It cannot be said that it is the default. Lin Chen smiled and said, okay, I understand, thank you. After saying that, Lin Chen prepared to leave. But just as he turned around, he suddenly thought of something and asked, by the way, is there any way to allow me to gain enough power to rival the gods of destruction in a short period of time? Your chance to ask questions has run out. Zuno said habitually, but he soon saw the energy ball lighting up on Lin Chen's fingers. The first method is to accept Angel's training. Angel's training can make you stronger quickly. The second method is gone. Strength is something that can only be acquired through one's own practice. There is no such thing as overnight success. Zunyo closed his eyes, sighed, and suddenly opened his eyes again, looking at Lin Chen. No, if it were you, maybe there would be a way to reach the sky in one step. You really do know everything. Lin Chen smiled, then turned to Taisai and the others and said, let's go. Let's go back to Earth. Looking at the place where Lin Chen and the others disappeared, the omniscient Zuno finally breathed a sigh of relief. His attendant looked angry and asked, Master Zuno, who is that Saiyan? Should we ask the Supreme Kai to deal with him? Forget it. He's not someone we can handle, not even the Supreme Kai. Afterwards, Zuno solemnly asked his servants to close the door and temporarily closed the door to visitors for today. After returning from Zuno Star, Lin Chen began to prepare for this journey through time and space. Although according to Zuno, the metal of time Tamulps no longer exists in this world, Lin Chen knows that as long as he summons Shenron, he will definitely get a piece. However, the Shenrons of the two planets had just been used once not long ago. If Lin Chen wanted to use it again, he would have to wait at least 130 days before he could make a wish to the Shenron of Namek. Although it takes 130 days to wait, these 130 days are just right for Lin Chen. After all, they are going to another parallel universe. Although Lin Chen is now able to transform into a Super Saiyan, he dare not guarantee that he can come back safely. 130 days is just enough time for Lin Chen to practice well. So, in the following period of time, Lin Chen trained on both Earth and Vegeta Star. Sometimes, he would train hard in a gravity chamber that is 500 times that of the Earth, and sometimes, Lin Chen would practice fighting between Super Saiyans with Han Asia. However, Lin Chen felt that such hard training was still not enough. After all, the one he is going to face this time is the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, who has the same bloodline as himself. This Broly and the Broly that Lin Chen knew, although they looked similar, were completely two different people. Almost all of Saiyon's negative emotions were concentrated on him, and because of the side effects of his bloodline, that Broly had almost lost his mind a long time ago and only knew how to fight and kill. In the story that Lin Chen knew, Son Goku and his men gathered the power of 4 Super Saiyans, but were still unable to defeat the powerful Broly. In the end, it was only with the help of all the Z fighters concentrating their energy on Son Goku that they were able to defeat him with difficulty. Lin Chen knew very well that in his current condition, let alone dealing with Son Goku's 4 Super Saiyans at the same time, even dealing with 4 Hanasaias at the same time would be difficult. If he could not improve his strength as soon as possible, this trip to the parallel universe would most likely be dangerous. Time passed, and there was not much time left before Namek Shenron recovered, but Lin Chen felt that he was still a little short of it. Compared to more than 100 days ago, his combat effectiveness has indeed improved, but this rate of improvement is far from enough for the difficulties he will face. Hanasia lacks talent in combat. She is originally weaker than Lin Chen in combat power, and sparring with him cannot give Lin Chen any new inspiration. How about having a fight with Broly from this world? A thought suddenly emerged in Lin Chen's mind. Although the powerful enemy he will face in the future is Broly from another world, there is also Broly in this world. If he fights this world's Broly, maybe it will help him deal with the other Broly? Thinking of this, Lin Chen immediately went to the Temple of Heaven, met Broly, and explained his origins. Brother Lynx, do you want to fight me? Yes. I may face a strong enemy soon, and I hope to improve my strength. Hanasia can't help me anymore, so I thought of you. Lin Chen looked at Broly in front of him with some joy, although Broly suppressed his aura at this time and only 5,000 combat power points could be seen from the combat power detector. But in Lin Chen's own system, he could clearly see that Broly's combat power at this time had reached 1.2 million. Lin Chen knew that Broly had never practiced since he was born, yet he still had a combat power of 1.2 million. As expected, it is worthy of the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline. Broly's super bloodline is somewhat different from Lin Chen's. If we use the setting of the Dragon Ball world, Broly's legendary super bloodline is the legendary super bloodline in Dragon Ball Super, while Lin Chen's is the legendary super bloodline in Dragon Ball Super Battle the movie. In terms of combat power enhancement, Broly's bloodline is far stronger than Lin Chen's super bloodline. Therefore, if he could have a fight with Broly, it would definitely be helpful to Lin Chen. However, to Lin Chen's surprise, Broly resisted after knowing what Lin Chen meant. Brother Lynx, I don't want to fight, even if it's you. Broly, we're just practicing. Brother Lynx, have you forgotten why I came to Earth in the first place? Lin Chen was suddenly speechless. Indeed, didn't Broly and Lin Chen come to Earth to avoid the Saiyans' daily challenges on Planet Vegeta? But now Lin Chen is just like those people and wants to fight with Broly. In that case, isn't he the same as those people? I'm sorry Broly, I didn't consider your feelings. Realizing his mistake, Lin Chen immediately apologized. But then, he felt a little embarrassed. If he couldn't fight Broly, how should he improve his strength? Chapter 46. Lin Chen, if you want to improve your strength, I may have a way to help you. Just when Lin Chen was in trouble, a voice suddenly sounded from the side. Lin Chen turned his head and saw that it was the god who was speaking. God? Can you help me? To be exact, it's not me, but Mr. Popo. The god smiled. Mr. Popo. Lin Chen turned his head to the side and looked at Bobo, whose expression was almost undetectable. Can he help himself? Bobo's copper coin eyes were calm as he stared at him harmlessly. Since the gods have said so, Bobo is willing to give you some pointers. Are you going to give me any advice? Mr. Popo, by the way, I don't have much time here. Lin Chen did not refuse immediately. Although on the surface it seemed that he really had no idea what Mr. Popo could teach him with his combat power of only a few hundred, he knew that Mr. Popo was definitely not that simple. Perhaps he could really teach him something. Bobo probably knows your strength. Conventional methods are of no help to you. Bobo intends to teach you something else. As for the time issue, Bobo will take you to a place, right? God, is that okay? Bobo turned around and asked the god. The god nodded and said, Mr. Popo, are you going there? Well, then you can take Mr. Lin Chen there. Okay. On the other side, Broly also apologized to Lin Chen. I'm sorry, Brother Lynx, I can't help you this time. It's okay Broly, you're a good boy, fighting really isn't for you. Lin Chen didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse to let a fighting genius become like this, but at least for Broly, this kind of life was what he wanted most. Then, Lin Chen followed Mr. Popo all the way into the depths of the Temple of Heaven. He followed Bobo, walked around several corridors, and walked towards the bottom of the temple step by step. At this time, Lin Chen already knew where Bobo wanted to take him. Mr. Popo, are you going to take me to the spirit time room? Do you know the spirit time chamber? Bobo turned around and asked, but his face remained calm. Yes, I actually have one myself, currently on Planet Vegeta. Lin Chen's spiritual time house is now placed on the Vegeta star as a place for young Saiyans with potential to practice. The gravity inside the spirit time chamber is nothing compared to that of Vegeta star, but the empty space inside is a great test for people's spiritual will, and it is just right for those little Saiyans to cultivate their will. Upon hearing that Lin Chen also had a spirit time house, Mr. Popo's face finally showed a hint of surprise, but he just opened his mouth and said nothing else, and continued to lead the way. Finally, after going around in a big circle, the two arrived at the bottom of the temple, in front of a golden door. "We're here." Bobo pushed open the door. "Since you know about the spirit time room, Bobo won't explain it any further. 1 year in the spirit time room is 1 day outside. We practice here, so it shouldn't take up your time, right?" "No, no." Lin Chen walked in with a smile. Soon, a vast white space with heat, low pressure, and 10 times the gravity appeared in front of them. Without wasting any time, Lin Chen quickly began to practice under Bobo's guidance. It was not until this time that he understood the meaning of the god's words. What Mr. Popo wants to teach Lin Chen is the control of qi. "Mr. Lin Chen, although you have great power now, your use of this power is very poor. If you exert your full strength now, can you easily destroy a planet?" Mr. Popo asked. "That's right." Lin Chen nodded. This is why if he wants to practice with Han Asian now, he can only do it on Vegeta, because that planet has been reinforced by him with Shenron. If it wasn't on Vegeta, but on some other planet, if Lin Chen and Hana let loose and fought, they might accidentally blow up the planet. That's because you can't control your strength freely. A true master, even if he has the power to destroy the world, can prevent his power from endangering others. Mr. Popo said. Lin Chen nodded and agreed with it deeply. He remembered that in the plot of Dragon Ball Super, the gods of destruction Beerus had once taken action on Earth. With Beerus's power, he is a top-level warrior who can destroy a planet with just a snap of his fingers, but after fighting on Earth for a long time, he did not cause any damage to the Earth at all. In fact, in the later stages of the Dragon Ball story, some people thought that the power system of Dragon Ball collapsed, but they didn't know that this was actually because the top masters were basically able to control their power freely. These masters can avoid the incidents in the early part of the story where the Earth was torn apart and the planets were pierced through at any time. Mr. Popo continued, "Popo heard from Broly that your training method has always been focused on strength and physicality. This is indeed useful for improving short-term strength, but if you want to become stronger, strength and physicality alone are far from enough. So, in the next period of time, Bobo will teach you how to control your qi. You must listen carefully." "Yet." Lin Chen nodded. It was not until he heard what was said just now that he understood why he felt like he had hit a bottleneck in the past. It turned out that it was because of his control over his qi, and his inability to keep up with his body and strength. It was as if Lin Chen had a powerful weapon in his hand, but his body could not keep up with the weapon and he was unable to use it freely. If he hadn't listened to Mr. Popo today, he probably wouldn't have known where his problem lay. Just based on what I just said, it was worth it to follow Mr. Popo into the time house this time. But that was not the only thing that surprised Lin Chen. Mr. Popo then turned Lin Chen into a Super Saiyan and then practiced sparring with him in this state. "Mr. Popo, are you sure? You might die from this punch of mine." Lin Chen couldn't help but ask. "You can try it, Popo is actually very good," Mr. Popo said. Hearing this, Lin Chen thought of the original story of Dragon Ball. It seemed that Mr. Popo did have experience sparring with a Super Saiyan. Although he was with 2 little kids, they were still Super Saiyans. Thinking of this, Lin Chen smiled slightly. "Okay, Mr. Popo, here I come, call out." The next moment, Lin Chen appeared in front of Mr. Popo and punched Popo in the face with his right fist. Out of caution, Lin Chen only used 50% of his strength in this punch, but his speed had already been increased to his limit. But the strange thing was that Mr. Popo easily dodged Lin Chen's seemingly fatal punch by simply twisting his neck. "What?" Lin Chen was shocked. Chapter 47. Here, your punch is too weak. Also here, the movements are too redundant. A real attack must be clean and sharp. And here, they are all burdens. You should restrain your energy when attacking. If you keep fighting like this, you will die before the enemy dies. Control your heart and feel the flow of breath. Bobo's strength is indeed unfathomable. It was clear that there was no strong aura coming from him, but Lin Chen, who was already in Super Saiyan state, couldn't even touch Mr. Popo's body. While dodging Lin Chen's attacks, Mr. Popo actually had some free time to observe Lin Chen's movements and give him instructions. This calmness almost drove Lin Chen crazy. How did he do it? Lin Chen kicked forward, but Mr. Popo dodged it easily. Just as he was about to continue chasing, Mr. Popo raised his hand and said, "Mr. Lin Chen, your mind is in turmoil. Stop for a moment and adjust your state of mind." Lin Chen panted, looked at Popo and asked, "Mr. Popo, who are you?" Bobo said he was very powerful, right? Lin Chen observed Bobo and couldn't help but use the power of his system. System, what is Mr. Popo's combat power? Soon, Lin Chen saw Mr. Popo's attribute panel. Bobo. Combat power, 1000. 1000. Are you kidding me? With a combat power of over 1 million under normal circumstances, how is it possible that he is unable to defeat a person with a combat power of 1000? At this moment, a flash of lightning suddenly flashed through Lin Chen's mind. "Mr. Popo, are you an angel?" Angel is the master, servant, follower, and supervisor of the gods of destruction. In Lin Chen's opinion, the strength Mr. Popo is currently showing can only be explained by the fact that he is an angel. However, when Mr. Popo heard this, there was no change on his expression. "Angel? What's that?" Seeing this, Lin Chen did not continue to ask questions. If Mr. Popo is really a person of angel's level, he must be hiding some big secret. With Lin Chen's current strength, it would be better not to take the initiative to provoke him. Next, under Bobo's guidance, Lin Chen continued to adjust his control over Qi, trying his best to reach the state where he could make light of heavy tasks and control it freely. Next, time flies. Soon, Lin Chen was about to complete a year in the spiritual time house. In a year, although Lin Chen's combat power did not grow dramatically, his temperament gradually became somewhat different. On this day, only one day had passed since Lin Chen entered the spiritual time house. The temple of the gods was as peaceful as ever. Broly sat cross-legged on the edge of the temple, looking down at the underworld. This ability is something that only gods possess, but Broly has actually learned it during his time in the temple of the gods. When Broly is bored on weekdays, he uses this ability to observe the netherworld and pass the time. Suddenly, Broly's face changed slightly, he stood up, and muttered to himself, "This anger is from Brother Link's." He came out. Sure enough, not long after, Lin Chen and Mr. Popo walked out of the entrance of the temple. After hearing the news, the gods who came over could not help but say after sensing the aura on Lin Chen, "Your strength has not changed much, but your aura is much calmer than before." Yeah, it's all thanks to Mr. Popo. After Lin Chen finished speaking, he turned around and saluted Popo, "Mr. Popo, thank you for your guidance this year. You still have a long way to go, don't forget that strength is not everything," said Mr. Popo. Lin Chen nodded, said goodbye to Broly, then used instant transmission to return to the underworld to prepare for his final departure. At this time, Lin Chen's attribute panel has changed. Host, Lin Chen Combat Strength, 1.56 million Bloodline, Legend of Super Saiyan Bloodline Skills, Instant Transmission, Primary Martial Arts Genius Talent, Primary Potential Development Technique, Perfect Control of Chi Moves, Planet Destroyer Bomb, Death Beam, Fire Wave, Kamehameha, After Image Fist, Instant Kamehameha. In 1 year, in addition to the combat power increased by 300,000, Lin Chen's biggest gain was his skills. The original Qi control skill changed and became the perfect control of Qi. Although there were only 2 more words, Lin Chen knew that the change of these 2 words increased his true strength by a full 30%. Now, Namex Dragon Ball has almost recovered, and it is time for Lin Chen to prepare to carry out this system task. But after all, he is going to a parallel universe, and Lin Chen doesn't know how long he will be gone, so some things still need to be arranged well. Whether it is Ties and the others, or Vegeta Star, Lin Chen must settle them down. By the time all this was done, 3 more days had passed. Namek, as the bass sounded, dark clouds floated over the horizon, and Namek, which had no night, fell into darkness. Then, amidst thunder and lightning, Shenron Porunga's huge body appeared in the sky. "Those who collect Dragon Balls, tell us your wish." Porunga's voice resounded between heaven and earth. "Okay, Lin Chen, tell me your wish," Niru said to Lin Chen. Lin Chen nodded and expressed his wish, "I hope to obtain the Time Medal, the Tamulps Medal." After Nilu translated Lin Chen's words, Porunga was silent for a moment, and then he actually said, "The Medal of Time, Tamulps Medal, is a medal that only Supreme Kai can use. What are you going to use it for?" "I have my own intentions. Can't you show them to me?" Lin Chen replied. Porunga said in a loud voice, Yes, but the Metal of Time is a divine item. If you want to get it, you must consume 3 wishes. 3 wishes? Sure. This time when summoning Shenron, Lin Chen didn't want anything else except the Metal of Time, so 3 wishes are enough. The next moment, a piece of unremarkable silver metal appeared in front of Lin Chen. Although it didn't look impressive, when Lin Chen picked up the metal, he suddenly felt a strange power. This power was a bit strange. Lin Chen didn't dare to touch it for too long and wanted to throw the metal into his own system space. However, just as the Metal of Time was about to enter the space, it suddenly bounced out by itself. The Metal of Time and Lin Chen's system space actually produce repulsion. Is it because the force of time and space in this metal is incompatible with the system space? Lin Chen thought about it and could only take out a box, put the piece of metal into the box, and then hold it in one hand. Nehru, I'm leaving. I'm going to a faraway place this time. If Namek has any urgent matters, you can contact Star Vegeta. After saying that, Lin Chen used instant transmission and left Namek. Chapter 48. In the universe, black holes are actually not rare. These things that cannot be perceived by the naked eye are like traps in the universe. Every race that has mastered the ability to travel through the universe will focus on marking them on their interstellar maps. After obtaining the Metal of Time, Lin Chen's next destination is Planet Vegeta. He did not stay here for long. After confirming the location of the black hole closest to the Vegeta star, he directly used instant transmission and came to the starry sky near the black hole. Even if Lin Chen could transform into a Super Saiyan, he could not resist the power of the black hole. Therefore, the place where Lin Chen teleported out was still a long distance away from the black hole. As soon as he left the state of instant transmission, Lin Chen immediately transformed into a Super Saiyan and opened an energy shield to protect himself. The black hole is over there. After just a slight perception, Lin Chen discovered the trace of the black hole. In a certain direction, Lin Chen could feel nothing. Black holes attract all matter, including energy, so as long as Lin Chen finds a place where he can't feel anything, that is naturally where the black hole is. After flying for an hour, Lin Chen could gradually feel the amazing gravitational force of the black hole. If he continued forward, it might be dangerous. So he stopped and took out the Metal of Time according to Zuno's information. Throwing the time metal into a black hole can open the time-space gate. Can my system control the destination of the time-space gate? Lin Chen muttered something, hesitated for a moment, and then threw the Metal of Time towards the black hole. I hope that Zuno didn't lie to me, or I'll make him pay. Under Lin Chen's gaze, this precious metal that had become extinct in the universe slowly floated towards the depths of the black hole. Suddenly, a crystal clear light suddenly rose from the piece of metal. Then, Lin Chen saw that the time metal, which was originally in the shape of a metal block, was suddenly pulled by a powerful force and bent, forming strange lines. Afterwards, the metal at this time suddenly seemed to be unable to hold on, and it shattered under the pull of gravity, and then disappeared. The piece of time metal that Lin Chen spent 3 wishes to obtain is gone just like that? Lin Chen was just about to curse Zuno for being unreliable when he suddenly saw blood-red space cracks like bloody mouths appearing at the place where the time metal had just disappeared. These cracks continued to grow larger, and finally formed a huge opening that was just big enough for Lin Chen to pass through. Could this be the gate of time and space? While Lin Chen was still confirming, a voice sounded in his mind. Ding! Confirm that the space-time gate has appeared, and activate the space-time shuttle function. Please consume the time points to select the destination you need to go to. Sure enough, everything was just as Zuno said. When the gate of time and space was opened, Lin Chen's system actually had new functions. And according to the prompt, this new function allows Lin Chen to choose the world he wants to go to. Only. System, what are time points? Ding! Reporting to the host, your trip to the parallel time and space will interfere with the target time and space. In order to offset the impact of this interference on time and space, the system needs to consume a special energy, which is the time point. As long as the host corrects the history of the current time and space, he can obtain time points. Lin Chen frowned, correct the history of the current time and space? What does this mean? However, this time the system did not give an answer, but gave Lin Chen a countdown. Ding! Remind the host that the newly appeared space-time gate is not stable yet. Please consume the time points within 1 hour to confirm the destination, otherwise the space-time gate will be closed. I'll go. Seeing the countdown appearing in front of him, Lin Chen immediately scratched his head. This system really loves to cause trouble. If you had known there was such a function, wouldn't you have told me in advance? Give me an hour right now, where can I get some time points? Etc. Lin Chen's eyes suddenly focused, and the next moment, he used instant transmission and returned to Earth, the Temple of the Gods. In the Temple of Heaven, the god was observing the world below, when he suddenly sensed the aura of Lin Chen coming from behind him. He turned around in surprise and asked, "Mr. Lin Chen? Why are you back again?" Lin Chen waved his hand and said, "Don't talk about this, God, where is the Dragon Ball that Namek gave you when he came back last time?" "Dragon Ball? I've already collected it. I created Dragon Ball to provide people with a motivation to realize their dreams, but unfortunately, humans." Okay, God, quickly bring me the Dragon Ball." Lin Chen said hurriedly, his tone serious, which even scared the god. "Ah? Oh." Seeing this, the god had no choice but to ask Mr. Popo to take out the Dragon Ball, but at this time the Dragon Ball was still in the shape of stone. Lin Chen frowned and asked, "God, can you tell me the star numbers corresponding to these stones?" "Okay, this one is a 1-star bead, this one is a 2-star bead, and this one is..." Lin Chen wrote them down one by one in his mind, then picked up all the beads and threw them into his system space. "God, I'm sending these Dragon Balls to the underworld. Goodbye." After saying that, Lin Chen disappeared in front of the gods again. Looking at Lin Chen who came and went like the wind, the god was a little dumbfounded and asked, "Mr. Popo, what is Lin Chen going to do?" Mr. Popo said, "God, Lin Chen seemed to say that he wanted to send Dragon Ball back to the underworld." At this moment, on Baizai Mountain, Lin Chen appeared at Son Goku's house. This time, there was still no one at Son Goku's house, and Lin Chen did not stay for long. He took out the 4-star bead, which was still a stone, from the system space and rolled it under Son Goku's bed. Then, Lin Chen came to the turtle house again, and there was no one there either. Lin Chen still did not stay for long. He found a place to put down the 3-star pearl and left. Then, Lin Chen continued to use instant transmission to place several Dragon Balls in Ox King's castle and other places. After all 7 Dragon Balls were dealt with, a prompt indeed appeared in Lin Chen's mind. Ding! Confirmed that history has been corrected. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 time point. Sure enough, Lin Chen clenched his fists. The so-called correcting of history actually means making the course of this world move towards the direction of the original story of Dragon Ball. Originally, because of the incident on Tiwi planet, Lin Chen asked the gods to take away all the Dragon Balls on Earth. This would prevent the story of the 7 Dragon Balls from happening again in this world. But now Lin Chen has put the 7 Dragon Balls back to where they originally belonged, and the story of the Dragon Ball world may continue to unfold. Chapter 49. Relying on instant transmission, when Lin Chen returned to the gate of time and space again, only half an hour had passed. This was the first time for Lin Chen to use instant transmission so quickly and at such a high density. Therefore, after coming back, Lin Chen was exhausted and couldn't help but breathe heavily. After a while, Lin Chen looked at the space-time gate in front of him which had not changed at all, and asked in his heart. "System, can I determine the target of the space-time gate now?" Ding! Back to the host, please confirm the time and space you want to go to. Then please let me go to a time and space where I can complete option 3. The next moment, Lin Chen suddenly felt a force shooting out from his body and hitting the door of time and space. Immediately, the color of the blood-red space-time gate began to change, gradually transitioning from the original blood-red to blue. When the color of the space-time gate finally stabilized at dark blue, the system issued a prompt, "Ding! The space-time gate has been locked, please cross it as soon as possible." Hearing this, Lin Chen prepared to leave, but he suddenly thought of something else. "By the way, system, how do I get back after I go there? This matter must be clarified first." Ding! Back to the host. After the time-space gate passes through, it will leave coordinates at the original place. If the host wants to go back, just return to the original place. But after opening it again, the time-space gate will disappear. The next time you use it, you need to consume time points again. I see, so the points at this time are equivalent to a round-trip ticket that can be used once? Thinking of this, Lin Chen no longer hesitated and headed towards the door of time and space. Here, is somewhere in the universe. Time unknown. In the dead silence and darkness, a blood-red crack suddenly appeared from the space that should have been empty. The crack continued to spread in all directions, and finally became a rectangular space door large enough for a person to pass through. Call out! A figure suddenly jumped out from it, and then, the space door behind him, which was transformed from a crack, began to shrink rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a blood-red sphere that was almost imperceptible to the naked eye. Is this the parallel universe where another Broly exists? The figure that emerged from the space gate was none other than Lin Chen, who had traveled through time and space. Staring at the dazzling stars around him, Lin Chen raised his eyebrows, then performed instant transmission and headed towards the coordinates of the Vegeta star in his memory. When he arrived at the original world, the location of Vegeta, as expected, Lin Chen did not see the planet that was transferred by Shenron. Where the Vegeta star should be, there is still nothingness. This is indeed another world. In that case, let's go find Broly. I remember he is in the southern galaxy. In Lin Chen's memory, the story of the rampage of Super Saiyan took place in the southern galaxy. This story was originally the plot of the Dragon Ball theatrical version Burn. Hot battle, fierce battle, super battle. This movie tells the story of King Vegeta accidentally killing Broly, the son of Saiyan Paragus, before the destruction of Planet Vegeta because he was afraid that Broly would be a danger to Vegeta. Unexpectedly, Broly and Paragus did not die. Instead, they relied on Broly's power to escape and came to the southern galaxy. Afterwards, Paragus used Broly's power to wreak havoc in the southern galaxy and established the new Vegeta planet, intending to take revenge on the remaining Saiyan Vegeta and others. Now, since the system wants Lin Chen to liberate the southern galaxy controlled by the legendary Super Saiyan, Lin Chen naturally has to go to the southern galaxy to find the whereabouts of Broly and the others. After holding his breath and concentrating for a while, Lin Chen suddenly froze. Hey, where is Nan Yin He? Even in the original world, Lin Chen had never been to the southern galaxy, and his instant transmission could not be used if he did not know the location of the destination. What should I do about this? Lin Chen scratched his head. Got it. The next moment, he used instant transmission again, but this time the destination was the Earth. He remembered that in the plot, Paragus made a special trip to Earth in order to take revenge on Vegeta. If he could make it in time, perhaps he could go with them. I just don't know if the timeline of this world has progressed to the time when the plot of Super Battle takes place. But it doesn't matter if there is none. Lin Chen can directly find the god of this world and ask him to take him to the underworld, and then go from the underworld to King Kai's planet to find King Kai. At that time, he will still know the location of the southern galaxy. When he appeared on Earth, Lin Chen discovered at a glance the age of this world, which was probably many years later than his original world. Because he often went to Zidu, every time Lin Chen used instant transmission to come to Earth, he would first settle in Zidu. This time it was no surprise. But when Lin Chen appeared above Zidu, he found that the Zidu under his feet was much more prosperous than the world he came from. There were many more billboards in the city that he had never seen before. From this, it can be judged that the age of this world should be many years later than Lin Chen's original world, and the plot of the Dragon Ball world should have already begun. I just don't know exactly how many years of the AIG period it is right now. After thinking about it, Lin Chen emptied his mind and began to sense the aura of the entire planet. Soon, he discovered a lot of powerful auras. Several of the auras clearly belonged to Saiyan, and one of them seemed somewhat familiar to him. This is Vegeta? As expected, Vegeta appears on Earth, and no battle has taken place yet, so the time in this space and time can only be the time after Frieza is defeated. I just don't know if we have reached the plot of Super Fight now. Thinking of this, Lin Chen directly used instant transmission and appeared near where Vegeta was. This is a cherry blossom forest. As soon as Lin Chen appeared, his aura was noticed by everyone at the scene. Who? The next moment, Lin Chen was surrounded by a group of people. Seeing these familiar faces, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel emotional. Vegeta, future Trunks, Son Gohan, as well as Master Roshi, Bulma, Oolong and others. The time in this space-time is indeed many years later than that in his world. It seems that the artificial humans have already appeared, right? Hello. Lin Chen waved and smiled at everyone. But his greeting did not dispel the vigilance of the people in front of him. Vegeta stared at Lin Chen, his eyes first swept over Lin Chen's combat uniform, then fell on the tail wrapped around his waist, and exclaimed, Saiyan? Are you Saiyan? Yes, I'm Saiyan, my name is Lynx, you can also call me by my Earth name, Lin Chen. Chapter 50. Impossible. Hearing Lin Chen admit that he was a Saiyan, Vegeta waved his hand and said, the only Saiyans in the world now are me, Kakarot, and our son. Where can there be any more Saiyans? Looking at Vegeta's disdainful look, Lin Chen had to admit that compared to the grown-up Vegeta now, the little Vegeta in his world who begged him to be his disciple was cuter. You are both right and wrong, but I am indeed not a Saiyan from your world. I come from another time and space. Another time and space. Hearing this, everyone was stunned for a moment. Most people didn't understand what Lin Chen said, but don't forget that the super genius Bulma was also present. She squeezed over from behind, holding baby Trunks. Another time and space? Are you a Saiyan from another parallel time and space? Just like Trunks. Bulma, stay away from him, this guy is very suspicious. Vegeta shouted immediately when he saw his wife approaching him. Trunks was also nervous and said, Mom, be careful. It's okay. He probably didn't lie. Bulma in this world is as carefree as Bulma in Lin Chen's world. She said to future Trunks, I don't think he lied. Don't forget, Trunks, you are from a parallel universe, right? After hearing this, Trunks stood there in a daze. It seems that what his mother said is right. Isn't he from the future of a parallel universe? In this case, it doesn't seem impossible that Saiyan from other parallel universes will appear. Hey. How did you come to our world? Do you have a time machine too? Bulma continued to ask curiously. Lin Chen said, I actually ended up here because of an accident. It's not a time machine. My combat power detector just happened to detect that there were powerful people here, so I came over to take a look. I didn't expect to meet you all here. Looking at the looks of the crowd, Lin Chen knew that they were holding a cherry blossom viewing party, and the time when he traveled through time should have been just before the story of Super Battle took place. In the plot of Super Battle, Paragus appeared at a cherry blossom viewing party. Lin Chen suspected that Paragus might appear at any time now, so he didn't intend to explain too much. Fortunately, except for Bulma, most of the people at the scene either only cared about cultivation or only cared about food and beautiful women. Bulma also had a carefree personality, and seeing that Lin Chen didn't say much, she no longer insisted. So everyone soon stopped dwelling on Lin Chen's origins. On the contrary, little Gohan and others enthusiastically invited Lin Chen, a wanderer from another time and space, to participate in their cherry blossom viewing party. Son Gohan also said that he would introduce Lin Chen to his father when he came. The cherry blossom viewing party began again, and everyone lay on the grass and started singing karaoke. The Tsundere Vegeta hid aside again, leaning against a tree and closing his eyes to rest. Everything was exactly the same as the plot of Super Fight in Lin Chen's memory. Knowing that Paragus would be here soon, Lin Chen was not in a hurry to find Broly, but planned to let the plot develop naturally. Moreover, being able to get together and chat with these familiar people is also a rare experience for Lin Chen. After all, many people here were either not born yet or were just children in Lin Chen's time and space, and the ones Lin Chen is most familiar with are those of his current age. When Krillin started singing, Lin Chen asked Gohan next to him about the situation in this time and space, using the excuse of wanting to understand the Saiyan on Earth. As a result, Lin Chen discovered that this parallel universe was indeed quite different from the Dragon Ball world he knew. If the world of the original Dragon Ball that Lin Chen knows is regarded as the main world, then Lin Chen's own world is a parallel world of the Dragon Ball world. And the current world, like Lin Chen's world, is also a parallel world different from the main world. In this world, the Cell game did not happen. Although the androids and Cell appeared one after another, the story became different from the main world of Dragon Ball that Lin Chen knew after Cell absorbed number 17. In this world, in order to defeat number 17 and number 18, Vegeta, Son Goku and others entered the Spirit Time Chamber one after another and gained power beyond that of Super Saiyan. As a result, when Cell was in his second form, Vegeta did not allow Cell to absorb number 18 as he did in the main world, but killed him directly. From then on, the story changed. Because there is no complete Cell in this world, there is no Cell game, and humans do not know that there are such horrible monsters in this world, so the world remains peaceful, just as Lin Chen sees now. So that's how it is. After listening to Gohan's explanation, Lin Chen also solved a mystery that had always been in his mind. When he watched Super Battle before, he was a little confused. It was said that the timeline of Super Battle should be 10 days before the Cell game, but the final battle was about to start, and there was a strong enemy like Cell waiting. Why would Vegeta and others run all the way to the southern galaxy? Also, the world is about to end, so why are people on Earth still lining up to enroll their children in cram schools? It turns out that this is all because Cell died a long time ago. Trunks, your father turns out to be the savior. Lin Chen couldn't help but ask Trunks, who was standing beside him. The latter lowered his head, blushing, not knowing how to answer. At this time, Bulma smiled and said, even though he is the savior, he can't even sing well. Do you know why he hides aside? It's because he feels embarrassed that he can't sing as well as Clint. Ha ha ha. When the others heard this, they all burst into laughter. Bulma. Vegeta suddenly jumped out from behind a cherry tree and shouted angrily. At this moment, the sky above everyone's head suddenly went dark, and then a huge spaceship suddenly appeared in front of them. Here we come. Lin Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. The others stood up, looking alert. Trunks? On that ship? Gohan asked. Yes, there seems to be a Saiyan on it. Trunks nodded. Humph. What happened today? Why did another Saiyan appear? Lynx, is he your friend? Vegeta asked, regaining his proud face. No, I don't know this spaceship and the Saiyan on it. Lin Chen said. Amid the discussion of the crowd, the spaceship finally landed on the grass not far from them. Then, a large group of aliens wearing purple armor walked down from the spaceship and ran towards the crowd. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.